I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well,
I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The Knicks give Tom Thibodeau a 3-year contract extension. Joel Embiid says he is the most hated player in the NBA. And the NBA signs a new 11-year, $76 billion media deal and rights. And by the way, the Yankees are playing like crap as well. We will get into that here on a new show of the Sports Loudmouth. Doc Rivers is going to have Damian Lillard run very fast out of town. Does he help them win? You're under 500. Aaron Judge helps the Yankees win. You're paying the player $300 million. You better be sure that that guy's going to help you get over the hump. For some reason, this guy is completely lost on calling plays. Maybe he's a therapist. Did you see Lamar Jackson crying to the referee? No, he didn't. Welcome back to a new show of the Sports Loudmouth. I don't know where Errol Marks is, so my name is Mike Doris Day, and I'm here to fill in tonight, and I'm here with the great Speeder Peter, what is up, man?
I guess that's my new alias now. Is that what we're going with for tonight?
What do you mean, alias?
Yeah,
Who's
we're all
Errol
going
Marks?
by aliases, stage
I
names.
do not know who Errol Marks is. My name is Mike Doris Day.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to call in to present theories on where Errol might have been from on Tuesday, you can call the number
I don't know who Errol Marks is.
631-672-3108.
Who is Errol Marks?
The guy that hosted the show on Tuesday.
I don't know who that is.
Right.
I just came to fill in. I mean, Fish reached out to me and asked me if I could fill in for somebody.
But is Fish really his real name too?
No, that's Fish. I know who Fish is. I'm a big fan of the show.
Oh, is that so?
Anyways,
speaking of guys that know who the show is, Wes actually quickly has a CFL game that's going to start at 7:30 that he wanted me to mention as well. It's the Saskatchewan.
You didn't let me finish my introduction here.
Okay. Well, we were going for aliases here, but go ahead.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth, and my name is Mike Doris Day, and I'm here to fill in for whoever. Remember, you can go to our website to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Remember, you can listen to all the shows throughout the week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the Sports Loudmouth with me. Well, I'm here to fill in. So Mike Doris Day and Speedy Petey. All you have to do to go to our website is www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Now, Speedy, how are you?
Well, now we'll get into one of the names we actually don't think has changed. I mean, it was Blackhawk West. Now it's Worldwide West, but nevertheless, our guy West.
That's a nickname.
Yes.
My name is Mike.
Yes. Let the nicknames, the aliases, whatever you want to call them, flow. But West does have a game, a CFL bet of a game that's starting at 7:30. So we'll get that in quickly. We might not even have Let's Parlay tonight. Nobody's responding yet.
Why is my picture with Errol Marks? My name is Mike Doris Day.
Well, you can fix it.
You want me to fix it during the show? You want me to fix it?
You can fix it if you want.
Well,
but
what's wrong with you here?
Let's go to a guy that we know as Wes. Has a play, Saskatchewan on the road dogs plus 3.5 at the Montreal Alouettes. That starts at 7:30 tonight. So cash those money with those tickets, and you could cash some more tickets on CFL plays on Bovada, our new sports betting partner.
That's right, Bovada. And you can QR code right now on the top of the page. All you have to do, and by the way, 100% on your first deposit. That's what you get, 100%. So if you put 100, you get 200. If you put 200, you get 400. Bet on almost anything like the presidential election. You can withdraw with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. And by the way, no limitations on what state you are in. You can bet anywhere. No, I repeat, no one does that but Bovada. All you have to do to check us out and follow us and use our Bovada QR code is go to Bovada, hit our link right there on the top of the page, and you have a chance to win some money. There you go. Oh, but Speedy, before we get into it, it's crazy. I'm very excited to be here. This is the first time on the Sports Loudmouth, and I don't know who the Loudmouth is, and you say this guy Errol Marks. I don't know who that is. But I'm very happy to be here. So I'd like to give a shout out to Scoops and you and Fish reaching out to me and asking me to fill in for this Errol Marks. I don't know who he is.
Well, Fish, apparently you know both parties. If you want to give up a wanted poster for the listeners to distribute, maybe we could find Errol and have him for next week.
Good for you.
Who the hell is that? I mean,
It's good for both.
It's good for who?
See, you're
what are we talking about here?
We're entering some audio scam now, everybody.
I'm lost here. My name is Mike Doris Day. Who the hell is Errol Marks?
Willie Whopper, Speedy. Willie Whopper.
And those don't exist either.
What is Willie Whopper?
Just like Errol is missing. Yeah, who knows what that means? I agree.
What is
I agree. I don't know what
Tell me
those
what
are.
it is.
I don't know what those are.
Are you sure you don't know what
I
they are?
don't. I have no idea.
I listen to the show. I'm a big fan of the show. I want to give a shout out to you, Speedy, for just being just a great personality to the show. Errol Marks, I'm trying to figure out who he is. There are days that I listen to the show. I never get a chance to hear him speak, even though somebody else speaks with you. Who is that, by the way? Is it Errol Marks?
I think he might have had some interesting thoughts on the New York Jets, but beyond that, I don't know.
Let's see. Why does Errol Marks look like me?
Fish, that's not the wanted poster we were talking
What are we
about.
trying to do
We're
here?
trying
Who
to
the
give
hell
out a
is that?
wanted poster, Wild West wanted poster to find
Who the hell is that?
the fugitive that is Errol Marks
Somebody's
hiding
stealing my
somewhere
picture.
in the middle of Montana.
Now I'm learning what Willie Whoppers are. I figured that out, and I like the beef. Who the hell's the beef, by the way?
I don't know.
You know who the beef is.
I believe he's a character in a 60s TV show.
Oh, okay. So what about, why do we have a picture of the beef then?
I don't know. Maybe maybe there's a beaver involved in Errol's disappearance.
You're telling me that the beavers, or he drowned in the beaver dam?
Maybe Errol's living in a society of beavers now.
Well, again, my name is Mike Doris Day. I'm here to fill in for, I guess, Errol Marks. I'm very happy to be here. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to analyst and statistician at the aceofspaders.com, Ryan Spaeder, who will be joining us. Very excited. This is the first time I'm going to get a chance to interview Ryan.
Fourth time for me, first time for Mr. Doris Day.
The Knicks give Tom Thibodeau a 3-year contract extension. This is going to be great. Woj reports that the Knicks have given Tom Thibodeau a 3-year contract extension. The extension will be next season and will go until 2027 to 2028 season as well. Thibodeau has 175 wins with the Knicks, 5th in team history, and has made the playoffs 3 out of his 4 seasons. The Knicks were one of 4 teams along the Celtics, the Nuggets, and the Thunder that were top 10 in both offensively and defensively efficiency last season. Thibodeau has a 527 wins in 14 NBA seasons and 38 playoff wins in his career. Oh, first of all, I want to give a congratulations to Tom Thibodeau. Very well deserved. Last season, at the end of last season, I thought his days were done with the New York Knicks. And I have to give Leon Rose a lot of credit because he trusted Tom Thibodeau. He trusted what Tom Thibodeau has preached over the last couple of years. Defense, defense, defense. He's hard on a lot of the players, but if you listen to Jalen Brunson and you even listen to Josh Hart, most people will tell you Tom Thibodeau is more of a player's coach than he is a dictator. Now, I disagree. When I look at Tom Thibodeau and I watch him on the sidelines, I think he's about to burst. His face turns as red or even purple sometimes as a grape or even a cherry. The guy looks like he's ready to explode when he's on the sidelines when the Knicks aren't playing good basketball or even defending. But a guy of this magnitude, a guy that's really preached and really taken the Knicks to just a better winning opportunity over the last couple of years. And the winning percentages are up for the New York Knicks. Right now, I think he has the best winning percentage since Jeff Van Gundy, okay? And who is Jeff Van Gundy? Well, Jeff Van Gundy was his coach. He was the assistant coach on Jeff Van Gundy's staff in the 90s. Also, Pat Riley, two guys that took Tom Thibodeau under his wing and really raised him and brought him up as an NBA coach. So you look at the Knicks last year. The Knicks had one of the best defenses, one of the best offenses in the league. They got eliminated in the second round against the Indiana Pacers. The Knicks have to play better in the playoffs, and that's something that Tom Thibodeau needs to look at from last season and for the last couple of seasons, even his time with the Chicago Bulls, his time with the Timberwolves. He ran the players really dry throughout the season. And then when the playoffs started, playing really 7-8 starters and really rotating only 7 or 8 guys when you have 11 guys on your bench is a sign of disaster. This is a team that has a lot of depth. They added a lot of pieces this offseason to really give them depth. And this is the best team the Knicks have had, I would say, in the last 50 years, since the Knicks won a championship. What Walt Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed and Frank DeBusschere and those type of players. Even the 90s Knicks didn't have the talent that the Knicks have right now, the depth that the Knicks have right now. Now, Jalen Brunson has to continue being that superstar player, and a lot of these guys are going to have to develop. You look at, obviously, Josh Hart playing as well as he did last year and really taking up the slack with the injuries and picking up the slack from the injuries that the Knicks had last year. And then obviously Dante DiVincenzo, bringing him in the offseason from last season, giving him a 3-year extension, a 4-year extension. He was a big part of the Knicks in the second half, especially in the playoffs when they needed offense off the bench, and even him starting when OG Anunoby got hurt. And then OG Anunoby, the addition of him when they traded RJ Barrett at the second half of the season, he played a big part of the success of the New York Knicks in the second half, even though fighting injury throughout the second half of the season. When OG was in the lineup, I think the Knicks were 28-8 or 28-7. They had a sensational record when he was in. They were like 20 games over 500 when he was in the lineup. So you could see the difference in giving OG Anunoby that kind of contract in the offseason really took them to the next level, because then they made a trade. They added another big-time player from the Brooklyn Nets, and now they have 4 Nova players that won championships with 2 championships over there in the NCAA. So Tom Thibodeau has a chance to have his best team. Really, when you look at what he did with the Timberwolves, he had a lot of good plays. He had Jimmy Buckets there. He had Karl Anthony Towns over there. He had Anthony Edwards over there, but it was a young Anthony Edwards. It was a young Karl Anthony Towns.
Andrew Wiggins was still there too.
Andrew Wiggins. And people would look at that roster and you would think that roster was better than this Knicks roster. But on paper, with the depth the Knicks have, the Timberwolves did not have the depth that the Knicks have on this roster. So this is Tom Thibodeau's best roster. Even when you go to the Chicago Bulls days and you look at that roster with Jimmy Buckets and Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, this is a team that is better and has more depth. Now, I would say that Bulls team had more depth than the Timberwolves did. But this is his best team, his best roster. And the additions that the Knicks made, it's only going to look better for the growth of this team and the growth of his coaching. I think that what the Knicks did last year was amazing. And when you look at only 3 teams that had the numbers offensively and defensively that the Knicks produced, you have to look at Tom Thibodeau as one of the coaches and one of the better coaches in the NBA. Now, you look at the deal. What was the deal again? 3 years.
The money was not disclosed. It was just a 3-year extension.
So he wanted the extension. The Knicks gave him the extension. He's going to be there for at least 5 years. He still has another year left on that contract. But I expect him to be there for at least another 4 years to ride off to the sunset if the Knicks win a championship. And this is something that Tom Thibodeau is getting older. I think Tom is like 66, 67. He's on, he's closer to 70 now. I'm not positive. How old is Tom Thibodeau? But you can look that up. But he's in his mid-60s. He's at the tail end of his career. He wants to win a championship. He's never won a championship. He had chances with the Chicago Bulls. Well, how old? 66. So he's in the middle. He's a middle-aged 60-year-old, coach. How many years did Tom Thibodeau have? Usually coaches, except like Greg Popovich, last till like 70. Don Nelson retired in his early 70s. Usually in your 70s, you're at the tail end of your career as a head coach. So Tom's never won a championship. He wants a chance. He wants to bring it home to New York. This is where he always wanted to be. He grew up a New York Knicks fan. He grew up in Connecticut. He's always wanted the opportunity to coach his team. He got a chance. Leon Rose gave him a chance, and he's rode him out. He's been riding him all the way to the playoffs and following. Leon Rose has been everything to this New York Knicks, and the growth of the New York Knicks and the success of the New York Knicks lie between his executives that he's brought in, Worldwide West being one of them, and obviously Tom Thibodeau. Everything has been riding on the tutelage and the growth of Tom Thibodeau as a head coach and the growth of this organization as a whole, bringing in players and switching off and trading off players and youth over the last couple of years to build through the draft and not even draft first-round draft picks, draft second-round draft picks and hit it big on some of these second-round draft picks. So I think that what Tom Thibodeau has done, and really look at what he has done with the growth of some of these players.
Yeah.
Like Jalen Brunson, like Donte DiVincenzo, like Josh Hart, all these different players that they've brought in from other teams and journeyman. Donte DiVincenzo is, obviously coming from Golden State. Josh Hart played for like 5 or 6 teams before he came here to New York. He's a better player here in New York. Why is he a better player in New York? Because of trust. Tom Thibodeau trusts his players. He believes in his players, and he gives them a chance to succeed. And that's something. And you look at Mitchell Robinson. Since Tom Thibodeau has come here, Mitchell Robinson's gained weight. Now, has he been healthy? No. But ever since Tom Thibodeau has been here, when he's on the lineup, he's been a better player. Look at OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby is a better player coming here to New York than he was in Toronto. Yes, he won a championship in Toronto, but he was really a bench player. He was coming off the bench. He was a 6th or 7th man. Now he's a starter on this New York Knicks team and has produced as one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. So you look at where the Knicks are and the talent the Knicks have going into the season, you have to look at all the contracts that they're giving. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle's on the tail end of his contract. All these guys that are starting to get extensions and some of the additions, all these guys fit what Tom Thibodeau preaches. I think it's a great move by the New York Knicks. They trust in Tom Thibodeau, and they want to move forward in Tom Thibodeau, and I think it's a great contract. I don't know what the number is, but who cares? They could pay him $16 million. It doesn't affect their cap. It doesn't affect anything. So I think that where the Knicks are, they trust and they believe and what they're preaching. And I think this is a great move by the New York Knicks.
You also have to think, too, with all the types of players they brought in. It wasn't always just the flashy names that the Knicks have been rumored into for the last 4 years. Like, they're expected to get Damian Lillard. Oh, they're expected to get Kevin Durant. They were expected to get Donovan Mitchell. No, they traded for guys that fit what Tom Thibodeau likes to do. And Josh Hart was the first of that wave. They traded Cam Reddish at the time, which a lot of people thought, including me, was going to be a really good NBA player, never panned out. And Josh Hart was a guy that floated around, like you said, the Lakers, the Pelicans, and Portland, then finally found a spot with the Knicks where he exemplified it. He was good in his first couple of years with the Lakers, but never to this level that he was with the Knicks. Then it was OG Anunoby, bench player with the Raptors, great defensive guy, was never a consistent offensive guy, but the team value he brings to the Knicks is insurmountable, and they missed him badly, falling apart the way they did against the Indiana Pacers. And then it was Mikal Bridges this offseason too, who, by the way, is willing to take a discount just like Jalen Brunson did on his next extension, which he's eligible for starting in October. So the Knicks can get that done. This all fits the Tom Thibodeau mold. So Tom Thibodeau will get those 4 years just like everybody else is going to get those 4 years.
If they win.
Make it.
Now they have to win. And Mikal Bridges is an addition. The Knicks gave up, four first-round draft. I'm sorry, don't cut me off. I'm trying to finish my sentence. 4 first-round draft picks and a couple of second-round draft picks. I think that when you look at the Knicks and the position that the Knicks are in right now, this is a must-win season for them. This is a must-win 4 years of Tom Thibodeau. And Tom Thibodeau is never going to get another chance as a head coach. If he fails here in New York, he failed with the Timberwolves. He failed with Chicago. He was a good assistant coach. He won a championship under, the Doc Rivers era. He was a big part of the growth of the Celtics with some of the additions that they had with the Kevin Garnetts and the Ray Allens and the Paul Pierces and even, the Jet. They put and Rondo helped really develop Rondo at his point guard position. You look at the Knicks, this is a great position for Tom Thibodeau to take this team in a very good, age for the New York Knicks. The Knicks have never been this good. I don't remember them being this good in the 90s. The Knicks have never had a player of Jalen Brunson's talent. I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at Carmelo Anthony, as good as Carmelo Anthony was as an offensive player, is he as good as Jalen Brunson? No. Has the Knicks ever had a point guard as good as Jalen Brunson? Never. Have the Knicks ever had a good player in the 90s that you can compare to Jalen Brunson? Patrick Ewing was a great player, and he was a Hall of Famer. Patrick Ewing wasn't a player like Jalen Brunson, and he's not even the type of player that you wanted to build around when it came to a championships. Did the Knicks win a championship under Patrick Ewing's championship ways and his talents over the years, especially in the prime of his career in the 90s, in the early 90s? No, they never won with Patrick Ewing. And that was the problem. They got to the finals one time with Patrick Ewing, even in the 99 when it was the end of Patrick Ewing era, and he was there. Patrick Ewing was a shell of himself. He was at the tail end of his career. And then after that season, they traded him to the Supersonics. So you look at this team and you look at the talent that they have, the depth that they have. Even adding Bates this offseason was a big move for them. You're giving them a grit. And every single one of these players, besides maybe 2 of them on this roster, can actually play two-way basketball. This is what Tom Thibodeau preaches. He wants you to play two-way basketball. If you look at all the great players, besides Derrick Rose, that he has coached over the years, they all play two-way basketball. Anthony Edwards, two-way basketball play. Karl Anthony Towns, when he does play two-way basketball, is pretty damn good. And then you look at the Chicago Bulls, Joakim Noah. You look at Jimmy Buckets. And we could go up and down that roster. Tosh Gibson. They were all defensive, offensive players. Now, again, this is more of an overall top talent team. If you look at all these players, they could put up, most of these guys could put up 10 and 10 if they want you, if you want them to. And even Dante DiVincenzo, we've seen it this year. He scored 30. Josh Hart in some of these games scored 25, 30. Mikal Bridges, we know what he could do with the Nets when he's the number one guy. All these guys can put up the points. Julius Randle coming back, not moving him is a big acquisition for the New York Knicks. And I think with the big acquisitions that the New York Knicks made, and even OG Anunoby, they're all two-way players besides Jalen Brunson. I think that says a lot about the Knicks and what the Knicks believe in. And moving forward, if the Knicks want to win a championship, Tom Thibodeau has to be the mastermind. Tom Thibodeau has to be the leader that's going to take them to the promised land.
And it's also an era, too. We were talking about comparing Jalen Brunson with Patrick Ewing, too. Patrick Ewing played in the 90s where it was the Bulls dynasty. Like, there's no real dynasty at this point in basketball. We've seen 5 different champions in the last 5 years, which has not happened since the 1970s. So there's no, even the 80s with the Celtics and the Lakers. There's none of that kind of thing hovering over where the Knicks can't win a championship. And the Knicks are trying to build a model that is going to work in different ways. We've seen the Celtics model. They did it through the draft a lot. They did it on perimeter defense. And the Knicks did it through a lot of good trades. And like you said, a lot of good second round picks. OKC did it with a lot of big trades, getting all these draft stock, and they've accumulated nicely. And the Nuggets have done a combination of everything to make it work. So those 4 teams are really the top 2 seeds in both their conferences this year are building the models for what they do. And the Knicks now have this window. If Tom Thibodeau can be creative this year and try to be able to keep these players healthy, that's the only thing that is a flaw in his game right now. But at the same time, Tom Thibodeau led the Knicks to get the 2 seed with all those guys hurt as well, which has to say a lot with him as well. So he's got to do a little bit more, but be creative. He could definitely win.
I think that when you sit here and you look at all the teams in the Eastern Conference, and I sit here right now and I look at all the teams in the Eastern Conference, and you kind of try to compare and contrast the Knicks to all those teams in their conference. You look at Indiana. Now they have good coaching, but they're a young team. They're a rebuilding team. Now obviously they're not rebuilding, but they're starting to build into a championship contender. When you look at those kind of things, and then you go, obviously, you look at Cleveland. Cleveland is a contender right now. They added a coach. They added Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson is a winning coach. He knows how to win. He's won championships as an assistant coach. He understands what it takes to win a championship. And then you look at the Celtics. The Celtics finally, they found a team. They put a team together with Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, all guys that have really helped rebuild the mold of this organization. And then they have a coach that actually I've taken shots of all season long, but he's proven to be a winner. Now you know that they can win with a coach like that. So if you look at everything that's going on with all the conference teams and all the teams in the Eastern Conference, and that you try to compare the Knicks to, they all have a chance to win. And it's wide open. The Eastern Conference is wide open because of how weak the bottom of the Eastern Conference is. So you look at the Knicks right now, they have to be better than a top 3 seed. They got to be a top 2 seed going into the offseason this coming year, and they got to put up the numbers, and they got to show that they're an elite team like they proved this year in the second half with all the injuries. Even with Jalen Brunson being the number 1 guy, they found a way to win games when a lot of people thought they weren't going to win.
And that's where the depth that they brought in this offseason comes into play, where they could alleviate that a lot better than they did with all the injuries that they had in the playoffs last year. And we've seen since the play-in tournament has really started, or not the play-in, the play-in tournament has really started with the expansion of the playoffs. By the way. I do too, but we've also seen it at the
Look
same.
Who won? The Lakers won.
Well, yeah. That was the in-season tournament. I'm talking about the play-in with the playoffs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Lakers tournament.
Yeah, they're
how did they win the championship?
Their fake championship that the Laker fan likes to brag on. But nevertheless,
they celebrated it too.
We've seen in the last 4 years since that's gone on, some lower seeds make runs to the conference finals, to the NBA finals, but they still have not been the championship team. There has not been a non-top 3 seed that's won a championship since the Dallas Mavericks when they upset Miami in 2010, 2011. So they still have to be a top 3 seed to solidify that. So you still have to care somewhat about the regular season. I know there's a conflict with the load management, and it's going to be difficult with a lot of injury-prone players. But Tom Thibodeau, if he could be able to manage the depth, even if it's not like raw starter, you're starting at the 2, you're starting at the 3. They have so much depth to play so many different ways. Just manage the minutes.
The division's going to be different. And I mean, I'm sorry, there's no division in the Eastern. The conference is going to be different because Boston's going to be good. Milwaukee, if they keep Dame, they're still going to be up there. They're going to be able to compete as a top 3 seed. Cleveland, Orlando is going to be better this year with some of the young talent that they have and some of the additions that they've made. Indiana, like I just said, because I think Rick Carlisle's the best coach right now in the Eastern Conference until proven otherwise. The guy won over there with Dallas. I think he's a winning coach no matter where he goes. The 76ers with Nurse, he's won a championship. This team's going to be better with Paul George if they can actually stay fully healthy. Miami will still be up there because they have Spoelstra. He's the best. Actually, you could argue Spoelstra.
Yeah, I was going to say
Spoelstra and probably Rick Carlisle. Those are the 2 best coaches right now in the Eastern Conference, and Tom is right there with them. Mm-hmm. I think Tom, you could argue because of obviously the age and how long they've been in the NBA as head coaches, and then. Chicago's going to be bad. Atlanta's going to be bad. The Nets are going to be bad. The Raptors are going to be bad. Charlotte's going to be bad. Washington's going to be bad. Detroit's going to be bad. I mean, it's really going to be a fight for those 7, 8 seeds. That's where it's going to be. The Knicks need to be in the top 3. If they're in the top 3, they position themselves very well for the playoffs in the first round, and then they got to get ready in the second round and compete like they did against Indiana, and they fell short. They cannot fall short this coming year, adding Mikal Bridges and some of the talent that they added in the offseason. They even added some second tier players in the draft, especially in the second round, who could be their backup quarterback point guard, and Kolek, who a lot of people think is going to make this Knicks team and become the backup quarterback. I say quarterback because that's what they are. Point guards are quarterbacks. Backup point guard for the New York Knicks. And everybody thinks it's Miles McBride, but Miles McBride, you can move him to the 2, you can move him to the 1, you can rotate him in many different ways in the rotation, but Miles McBride is not the backup point guard. It is going to be Kolek. He's a guy that can pass the ball. He can deliver the ball in many different ways. The Knicks really, really liked him in the G League. He's a leader. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is going to start him this year or even give him a chance to be the second-tier point guard unless McBride gets hurt, because he doesn't like to play rookies. He doesn't like to play young guys. But I do believe he's the future point guard for the New York Knicks. I think that they really like him. And you can't take shots at Leon Rose on the way he drafts, because he found Miles McBride. He finds these guys in the later rounds, and they come out to be pretty good players. I like Kolek. Yeah. I've watched him in the G League twice. This offseason. I think he could be a big piece to the future, maybe a big piece in the second half for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, big piece. I think that they didn't have it also last year, because Jalen Brunson had to play practically all but like 3 minutes in a game too. If Kolek develops like what his skill set was at Marquette, remember the Big East.
You need a quarterback like that.
The Big
What
East.
are you laughing about? That's what they are. Point guards are quarterbacks.
That's true. I'd much rather have that than Drew Lockett for the Giants. Who knows? But nevertheless,
they are. They're the ones that dish it, and they're the ones that find the players, and they see the field, they see the court the way they do. You need a quarterback like that, and I think Kolek might even be better than Jalen Brunson is when it comes to seeing the court.
And his 3-point shooting at Marquette was very good too. That
wasn't good in the G League.
Yeah,
it wasn't. But I know it's the G League, and he got better later in the G League in a couple of games. I think the first 2 or 3 games he did not look good. After that, he started to play better basketball, and the Knicks see something in him. They see a captain-like player on the court, and that's what you need when you're playing with some of these veteran players, and these veteran players need to trust you with the basketball.
Right, and that's the type of player he was at Marquette, too, for 4 years. He was one of their big leaders on that team, for a top 20 offensive team in a very tough Big East the last couple of years, and that kind of thing, he showed well. Assist to turnover ratio, led the Big East this year. 3-pointers. He was one of the highest guys in the Big East. So that's definitely backup point guard material that could shoot as well, which is something the Knicks conceptually did not have last year when they had to take Jalen Brunson out of the game.
I also think that when you look at the offseason and the acquisitions the Knicks made, they made sure that they would fit the mold of a Tom Thibodeau. Right. And Marquette, again, Kolek is a pretty good defender. He played very well in the G League. He's not an elite defender, but he's a guy that could learn defense. If you look at all the guys that are on this team, on this roster, Dante DiVincenzo, all these guys, they're going to help Kolek develop. He's a guy that's going to be, he's making this team. Everything that I've read, he's making this team. He's making this roster. He'll probably be the 10th guy or the 11th guy off the bench. I expect to see him sometime this year. If you see Jalen Brunson go down for a couple of weeks, or you see Miles McBride go down for a couple of weeks, I expect to see Kolek. I do believe that Tom Thibodeau believes in him. I've read some of the things that Tom Thibodeau said about the kid. And I think that Leon Rose trusts the way he drafts. And if you look at these drafts, now they made some mistakes the way they drafted over the last 3 years, but some of the moves that they've made, and you have to make mistakes to hit on 1 or 2 of these guys. And McBride is a guy they hit on, and they gave him an extension, and he deserved it. Well deserved. I'm going to tell you this right now. You look at Miles McBride, what he did in the second half, and you see what he did for the New York Knicks in the second half, including the first series in the playoffs against the 76ers. Do you think he's worth more than $4 million a year? I would say that he is. And that's what the Knicks gave him, an extension, $4 million a year. This guy, if he played as well as he did going into the second half of the season, he would have been a free agent at the end of the season. That means he probably would have gotten probably 12 to 13 million a year to another team. The Knicks would have had to dig into their pockets. So what the Knicks did is they extended him in the second half because they knew he was going to play out. They saw what he was at practices and the way he could shoot and the way he demands the ball when he's on the court. And you see the type of player Miles McBride became. And I have to give a shout out to Josh Silverberg because he loved him when he came out from Virginia. And he's really developed into a sensational player.
Yeah, and like you said, he could play as a backup point guard too. I don't prefer it either.
It was Virginia, right?
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
The team I picked to win a championship that year. I remember that, but
Mhm.
they lost in the second round. But regardless, like he's developed into backup point guard too. Those traits weren't there when he was at West Virginia either. He was a defensive stalwart as a wing guy, and his offensive game was kind of streaky. But
His shooting got better.
His shooting got a lot better the last year, and then even his spacing on the floor got better in the second half of the season as well, allowing him to be in that second point guard role essentially.
And again, the Knicks have a lot of depth, so they're going to have to decide what they're going to do going into the season this year. Tom Thibodeau has proven to be right on a lot of the rotation. Just the problem is that he needs depth going into the playoffs. They didn't have that in the playoffs, and I believe that's why the Knicks couldn't get over the hump. They couldn't beat Indiana because of the depth. After losing OG Anunoby, they didn't have a guy of that magnitude. When they lost Julius Randle in the middle of the season, they didn't have a secondary offensive player. They were really reaching with Dante DiVincenzo and all these guys, OG Anunoby. OG is, to me, I think a third-dairy type of scorer. I don't think he's a secondary scorer. Having Julius Randle or a guy like, Mikal Bridges, they have weapons now that you can move and rotate around where you're not going to have to depend on OG Anunoby to score more than 15, 14 points a game. So, and they have the wing depth and they have the defensive depth. So if you're a New York Knicks fan, you would look at Tom Thibodeau as a great addition and a great signing for the New York Knicks. Now, he's going to have to produce better than a second-round exit. He did that with Chicago. His first couple of years, he needed to get these guys moving. He finally did. Derrick Rose became the superstar, and then they would lose in the second round. They would lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. Could never get over the hump against the Cavaliers and LeBron James. And Miami. They could never beat Miami. This is a chance now where the Knicks have the talent. They have the depth. They have to get over the hump. They got to beat the Celtics. They have to beat obviously Milwaukee or the 76ers with Paul George. They're going to have to put up those numbers in the playoffs like they did in the regular season if they expect to beat the elite.
Yeah, and all those teams that had the Chicago Bulls teams that didn't go to the conference finals, they lost in the first round because Derrick Rose got hurt or Joakim Noah got hurt too. So Tom Thibodeau.
Jeff, I said that. I don't know what you're writing. I said that. One of the main reasons why the Knicks didn't have the depth was because he played them out. And he played them out of the ground.
Right.
And at the end of the season, they were just tired. And look, when you look at what Josh Hart did in the first half, or really the first series against Philadelphia, he was playing 46 minutes. He was playing 46 or 48 minutes.
That can't happen.
You can't do that. You need depth. And that was the problem. When you're expecting more offense from Josh Hart, when you're expecting 20 points from Josh Hart, be your secondary scorer because you didn't have it, because OG couldn't play a certain amount of minutes, and you didn't have Julius Randle, you didn't have that depth off the bench, you had a problem. And I think now the Knicks do have the depth, and they have to. Tom Thibodeau now knows that he can trust some of these guys off the bench because you're going to have Josh Hart coming off the bench. You're going to have Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench. You might even sometimes have OG or one of these other guys, Mikal Bridges coming off the bench sometimes. You're going to have that where you're going to have the opportunity to bring these guys in to obviously play in that second rotation where they could put up those numbers just like the first rotation of the New York Knicks starters.
And they don't even need like a super stubborn rotation anymore, too. You could be versatile, sub 2 players out of the time, sub 3 players out of the time, and just play like that. That'll keep other teams guessing in the playoffs.
Yeah, rotating some of these players in the playoffs has been a big problem for Tom Thibodeau. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is a playoff coach. We have to see that, but this is we look at Tom Thibodeau and what he has done over the last couple of years. He's developed as a coach. If you look at what he did last year and you look at it the year before, he's been better as a head coach. It's been more understanding as a head coach and letting these guys play. And he's actually moving his rotation and bringing more guys into the rotation where he used to only play 7 guys. Now he's bringing 8 or 9 guys in. Right. Now next year, I want to see 11 guys or 12 guys. He's going to have to rotate the players. He's going to have to play more of these guys. Now that you trust these players off the bench, now you're going to see maybe a different coaching ability that Tom Thibodeau has. And now with the rotation being more in depth, you have a chance to really compete against the elite.
Keith also says Dante is going to start. Well, yeah, maybe he will, but
maybe.
Again,
how is he going to start?
You don't have to restrict yourself to that formality.
All right, how is he starting? How is he starting? Okay, so let's look at the rotation right now. You have Jalen Brunson as your starting point guard. OG Anunoby is your 2. Mm-hmm. That's where they're going to start. Mikal Bridges is probably going to be your 3. Julius Randle is your 4. and Mitchell Robinson's your 5. So that's where you're going to start. Where is Dante going to start? Dante is not starting this year. He's not starting over OG. He's not starting over Mikal Bridges. You're not starting him over those guys. I think Dante's coming off the bench. He's going to be with that second rotation. You're going to have him, Josh Hart, Mikal. You'll probably play it small. Miles McBride. You're going to play that rotation small. And then obviously they have Bates. They have other guys that they can move in that rotation where I think that still the Knicks are going to play small this year. They're not a big team. They're really not. If you look at that, and I've heard that the Knicks might be looking at Brook Lopez and bringing him.
I heard that too.
So if they bring in Brook Lopez, he'll be in that second rotation. So he will be the second rotation starting big man. And he's won before, and he's been successful as a 5 in the NBA. Good shooter, could play defense, good rebounder. The Knicks could use somebody like that off the bench because they lost somebody in Hartenstein in the offseason. So, I mean, where the Knicks are positioned, the Knicks are in the best position they've ever been. Really, even better than they were in the 90s. If you look at Charlie Ward and Childs, do you think that those two guys are better than Jalen Brunson? Or Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride right now? Probably not. This is probably the best point guard system the Knicks have ever had. Even better than Walt Frazier, because Walt Frazier was a great 2-way player. But if you remember anything about Walt Clyde Frazier and what I've heard about him, he was better as a defensive player than he was as an offensive player.
Right.
Jalen Brunson, he's a better offensive player than he is a defensive player. And then you have that transition of Miles McBride, who's a better defensive player than he is of a shooter and offensive player. So I think the Knicks have more depth than they did from those years in the 70s of their success with the 2 championships, and even the 80s and the 90s when they had Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason and Charles Smith and all those other guys, and even John Starks and the point guard play of Charlie Ward and Childs over there. And Chris would probably agree with me.
Chris even said he was better. Jalen Brunson was better than he was when we had him on.
What is he saying over here? Better than Frazier. He was great at both. Who was better at both?
Okay, yes, Jalen Brunson is, that's what we were saying. Walt Clyde Frazier was not a scorer like Jalen Brunson. Points per game wise doubled what Frazier did.
I think that this is the best rotation the Knicks have ever had. Even since the 70s. Now, I don't know about the 70s Knicks because that was a pretty good. I mean, they had Earl Monroe over there. I mean, Earl Monroe is a Hall of Famer. Walt Frazier is a Hall of Famer. DeBusschere is a Hall of Famer. Willis Reed is a Hall of Famer. I mean, they had a lot of Hall of Famer. And second rotation starters. Yes, that's what they are. Second rotation starters. So that's
a good problem to have, Keith.
No, that's Jeff saying second rotation starters, laughing out loud. But are they not starters on the second rotation?
Oh, yeah, and it's a good problem to have.
He's making fun that I called them second rotation starters, but they are.
Again, you don't need the label with this much depth. It's not a big deal.
Clyde was better at this point. I meant, Clyde was better than Jalen Brunson. No, he wasn't. No, he's not. No, he's not. I'd never watched Clyde play, and I could argue that that's not a thing. You are a starter. You're not a backup. Whatever. Your second rotation, Jeff.
You don't need to label it with this much depth.
Stupid things Jeff says, and I don't attack him. It's so funny when I'll say something, and Jeff will attack anything I'll say. But you know what? When you look at Jeff, there's not much to look at, so who cares? You know? I mean, seriously. And by the way, Jeff, my name is not Errol Marks. My name is Mike. What is it, Speedy?
Doris Day.
Doris Day. How many times Errol Marks is not here? My name is Mike Doris Day.
That's a good graphic.
That is a good graphic. That's pretty cool, actually. That's a pretty good one. But again, Tom Thibodeau, well-deserved, very well-deserved for a coach. One of the top, I would believe, top 7 coach right now in the NBA. He's been a top 7 coach really since he's taken over with the Chicago Bulls. I just want to see him win in the playoffs. He needs to prove that he can win in the playoffs. And if he could prove that, I would compare him to the elite, the top 3 in the NBA. Until then, he's not an elite coach as far as I'm concerned. So, but 3 years extension, that gives him 4 years, and that gives him Jalen Brunson for 4 years. So we'll see if he can win with Jalen Brunson. We could see if he can win with Miles McBride and Mikal Bridges and all these other guys that they have on this rotation. And Julius Randle's only there for 2 more years. So Julius Randle might be out before Tom Thibodeau decides to pack it up. And I only believe that Tom Thibodeau has another 4 years left. Being that he's 66 in 4 years, he's 70. That's usually retiring age. So in these next 4 years, I think Tom Thibodeau wants to bring a championship home to New York.
Yeah, that's definitely the window you're looking at for all these contracts. They match it up accordingly. And once Mikal Bridges signed, they're all in that same mold. Keith also says, I saw both. He scored if he wanted to. Yeah, but he didn't. You can't judge hypotheticals, Keith. I'm not saying didn't have the traits at the time. That you can't judge everything based on hypothetical stats that didn't happen. He was a 13-point-a-game guy most of the time. And Jalen Brunson last year was a 28-point-a-game guy.
Joel Embiid said on the Check Ball show that he is probably the most hated player in the NBA. He added he doesn't know why there is hate of him, saying he is a cool guy that people can relate to. Fox Sports' Paul Pierce took shots at Embiid, saying he doesn't know what it is to be hated. Pierce added that people are more disappointed in Embiid rather than hating him. He also added that a lot of the disappointment comes with him staying in shape and not performing in the playoffs. Embiid has not reached the conference finals in his 10-year career. And by the way, he's probably, I think this is true to be true. He's the only big man that's won an MVP that's never played in an Eastern Conference or a conference finals in his career. So if you look at all the great big men in the NBA, all of them have played in a conference final. Joel Embiid has not. So Joel Embiid needs to prove himself to be a winner. But again, if you look at Joel Embiid is probably the best big man in the NBA right now. You can argue that he is. You could argue the Greek Freak or Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic winning his, third MVP in 4 years. So you could argue that Nikola Jokic is the best big man and he's the second or the third. He's definitely the biggest crybaby. There's no question about that. I think Paul Pierce has a lot to say about a lot of players. And I give Paul Pierce a lot of credit because obviously this is a guy that has built on talking on a basketball court. He's been very successful. He won a championship. He was one of the best two-way players in the NBA when he played for the Celtics, and he had a long stay over there with the Boston Celtics. I think he played 1 or 2 years with the Brooklyn Nets.
And then he played a little bit with the Clippers at the end of his career.
Yeah, but we don't even want to remember that. It was really
just Doc Rivers' mainstay.
The tail end of his career, he played with the Nets. And that was probably, when you look at the Paul Pierce years, he was one of the better players in the NBA. That's why they called him the Truth. And he spoke very highly of players like the players that he played with. Even for years, he could say whatever he wants about Ray Allen now because of the whole LeBron James thing and joining LeBron James with the Heat and calling him a traitor. He knew of Ray Allen and how great Ray Allen was. He was a big part of that championship team of the Celtics and Kevin Garnett, one of the better big men, better fours we've ever seen in the NBA. Paul Pierce speaks nothing highly of him. And Rondo, with all the woes that he's had on and off the basketball court, Rajon Rondo is one of the best at the time of his career, one of the best two-way players in the NBA, rebounding, assists, even scoring at some parts of his career. He really developed a shot and developed a good offensive game. So Paul Pierce attacking Embiid, saying that the reason why he's hated because he's fat, pretty much, and that he doesn't know how to win in the playoffs. I don't believe that's why people hate him. People hate Joel Embiid because of what he says on and off the court, what he does to people on and off the court. And Joel Embiid also doesn't have a filter, just like Paul Pierce. And if you look at Paul Pierce in his years over there with the Celtics, he never hid behind his words. When he said something, he meant it. He would speak to the press. He said it. What he felt. He would go up there in playoff games, take shots of his own players, take shots at the other team. He never held back on anything he said. I think he's a perfect podcaster. He's a perfect analyst. I love Paul Pierce and what he has to say. And I don't care if he takes shots at my players, my team, or take shots at other players and other teams. He has his own thoughts, and he has every right to speak about those other players if he feels that they're not good or they're not playoff contending players. But again, Joel Embiid, say whatever you want about him. He's still one of the best players in the league. He's one of the top 3 big men in the league. And if you look at Embiid, yeah, he's not successful in the playoffs. How many players in the history were not successful in the playoffs? Patrick Ewing being one of them. Was never successful in the playoffs, never won a championship. If you look at all the big men, all those great teams over the years, if you go back of some of the great teams of those eras, how about Karl Malone, the 4, one of the best offensive players of all time? Did he ever win? Did he? John Stockton, one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. Did he ever win? He never did.
Charles Barkley, one of the best 3s, 4s to ever play the game. Never won. So, again, it's all about the team. It's all about the players that you're playing with. It's all about playing with the great players that you played with. Michael Jordan probably would have won 8 championships in a row if he didn't retire the way he did. Why? Because he was by far the best player in the NBA. And when you play with the best player, he makes everybody around him better and look better. Kobe Bryant. I take shots at Kobe Bryant all the time. He's the closest mimic to Michael Jordan. Now, do I think that Shaquille O'Neal wins a championship without Kobe? No. But do I think Kobe wins without Shaquille O'Neal? No. And you're going to say, well, he did. Yeah. He had to have even better secondary players around him to win. Was Gasol as good a player as Shaquille O'Neal was? He wasn't. But he had Metta World Peace. He had Lamar Odom. He had those players. Now, Lamar Odom did play with Shaquille O'Neal, I think, at the end. I'm not sure, but I think he did. I don't know if he was a Clipper or was a Laker, but he had Fox. Shaq rotated like 6 teams at the end of his career.
They had Rick Fox on the team. They had good secondary players on those Laker teams, too. They found a way to win. Robert Horry was a good player, too, a winning type of guy. I think he had won 12 rings or 11 rings. So for all the years that he was in the NBA with the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, and then obviously with the Lakers, he was a successful winning player. And even Derek Fisher was a winning player. But again, Joel Embiid, if you look at the talent he's been around, are they that good? I mean, Maxey became a star this year. Tyrese Maxey played very well this year. He became a star right in front of our eyes. That's why he got his extension in the offseason. I mean, Harris sucks. We all know what he is. Overpaid player. They don't have a point guard. Let's be honest. They don't have a point guard there.
He survived 6 years probably to play with Ben Simmons.
I mean, they have Paul George there now, but Paul George is old. He's not the same player he once was with Indiana or at the beginning stages of his Clipper career. So, I mean, are you going to blame Joel Embiid that they haven't won, the 76ers haven't won? No, I'm not going to blame it all on him. I blame ownership. I blame the GM over there. I blame coaching. Doc Rivers is a failure.
And all the coaches and GMs they had before that, too. Remember, think about it 5 years ago. The Knicks were targeting Elton Brand before they stole it. And they ended up going with Leon Rose. Thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah, Shaq did win a championship without Kobe Bryant, but he had to win it with another superstar player who, by the way, took over the finals in our friend, Speedy, Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was the best player when Miami won the championship in the finals. Yep. So Shaq doesn't win that championship without Dwayne Wade. So, yeah, I mean, again, Shaq could have won with Anthony Hardaway. Did he win with Anthony Hardaway? No. He went to a final. They beat the Chicago Bulls and the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls. But that was when Michael came back from a 2-year stint. And he wore the number 45, and some people thought he jinxed himself. I'm going to tell you this right now. You look at Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has never played with talent like Shaquille O'Neal did. Joel Embiid never played with talent like, Hakeem Olajuwon with Clyde Drexler. He never played with those type of players. And that's the facts. Now, Paul George is considered a superstar. We'll see if he can stay healthy. If he does, maybe he's that other player. He's the other piece to get him over the hump. What is he saying over here?
Shaq couldn't win a title without Kobe, so now the story changes. Yeah, they both won a championship without the other one.
Yes.
And yes, they probably don't win without the prime version of the other one.
Kobe didn't. Now, when Shaq left and he went to Miami, they won a championship. Kobe didn't win without Shaq for 2 years until they brought Gasol in.
Yeah, now Kobe won twice, Shaq won once without the other, but they still needed each other in the primes of their careers at that time to get over what was a loaded West.
Again, Joel Embiid has never played with another superstar like Kobe Bryant. He never did. And I believe if you look at Joel Embiid, he's never played with a guy as good as all-around player as Clyde Drexler was, Clyde the Glide. Now, Maxey could turn into that player. He could. Paul George, is he that type of player like Clyde? Yes, he is. But is he going to stay healthy this year? Is he going to put up the numbers that he was putting up in the beginning of his, his stint over there with the Clippers? I don't know, because his numbers were down this year at 22 and seven rebounds and whatever he was averaging this year. He's not the same player.
No,
James Harden
not a star anymore.
He's not a star. Come on, Jeff.
Yeah, but you took shots at James Harden throughout this year. Come on.
James Harden is not a star anymore.
No.
He's a good player. He's a good player. I would say he's a good third-tier player. That's what I think James Harden is. Now, he's going to put up 20-something points a game here and there. And if he gets enough shots up there, he's going to draw a lot of fouls because he likes to, go to the hole and cry to the referees. Mm-hmm. But he's not a star like he once was. He's not an MVP. He's not an all-star. When was the last time James Harden was in an all-star game?
3 years ago.
I mean, seriously.
It's like
when he won an MVP.
It's like 1 year he actually played a lot of games with the Nets when the other two were hurt, and that was really it.
James Harden is not a star anymore, Jeff. I don't know what you're watching. He's not. He's not.
And he's still going to whine like he gets star treatment and getting away with 5 travels a game.
And I'm going to say this right now. As good as LeBron James is, and you look at his numbers right now, and you would think they're star numbers. I love LeBron James. Is he a star? He's not a superstar anymore. He's a star.
Yeah.
He's not a superstar. When you look at superstars, you look at the top, I would say the top 10 players right now in the league. Is LeBron James a top 10 player right now in the league? He's not. He's not. Kevin Durant's not a top 10 player right now in the league. They're not superstars anymore. They're stars. Joel Embiid is a superstar. He is. He's a top 10 player. Donovan Mitchell, for all the people taking shots at Donovan Mitchell all over TikTok. Saying, Donovan Mitchell, what the hell has Donovan Mitchell done? I don't know. He was a top 3 player at his position defensively. Top 5 player offensively last year. I don't know. He was horrible. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's a top 10 player. Paul George is not a top 10 player. Now, was Clyde Drexler a top 10 player when he was playing for the Rockets? No. But he was a top 15 player. He was there. He was there when he was traded from the Portland Trail Blazers to the Rockets. And he wanted to go home. He wanted to go home to Houston. He wanted to win a title with Olajuwon. And they played college ball together. So they know each other pretty well. What is this? What is he saying right now? Remember when Kevin Durant was second team All NBA?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, Jeff.
I know.
2 years ago, Jeff. 2 years ago, Jeff. You bring up old past tense arguments.
Yeah. Think about some of the top 10 players in the NBA now that were where they were 2 years ago. No one was thinking that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be in that realm. Donovan Mitchell was kind of a borderline.
Shai Alexander's a top 10 player.
Yeah, he is. And like Donovan Mitchell might have been a borderline top 10, but
Steph
not
Curry right now is a top 10 player.
Yeah,
he's still there.
He's had the longevity.
I would say he's 10. Right. That's where I think he is.
Right. He's had the longevity enough. Jalen Brunson 2 years ago, nobody was considering even a top 20 player.
I mean, if you look at the Greek Freak and Nikola Jokic,
right?
Luka Doncic, Tatum is right there. I mean, we just named about 7 or 8 guys.
And Jaylen Brown's better than those guys we listed.
I don't know if Jaylen Brown's a top 10 player.
Maybe not top 10, but he's better than probably
top
Kevin Durant
12,
at this
top
point.
13. I would think Jaylen
Yeah,
Brown
but
is
he's
there.
better than Kevin Durant at this point, probably.
Would you say Devin Booker?
Yeah, he's the other one that could be interesting because he's had some high volume scoring years.
Would you say Devin Booker?
Yeah, he's another one. Like he's probably in that same realm. But again, either way, like it's a youth movement league now.
I'm trying to think of
Anthony Edwards too.
Anthony Edwards, yeah. And Anthony Edwards is there too. So those are your top 10 right there. Those are the top 10 players right now in the NBA. So Joel Embiid, he's a top 10. But look at the time when Michael Jordan was as good as he was Scottie Pippen a top 10 player? He was. He was a top 10 player in the league at that time. He really was. When he was at the prime of his career, Scottie was a top 10 player. Karl Malone, when he was a top 10 player, John Stockton was a top 10 player. He was. When they were at their prime, the prime of the Utah Jazz superstardom, when they were as great as they were top 10 players. So again, I'm not saying you need to win with 2 top 10 players, but it would be helpful. I mean, LeBron James played with 2 top 10 players at the time.
And another top 20.
Yeah, I mean, he found a way to put 3 great players together to win championships. And that, obviously doesn't work anymore because if it did, we could see we should have saw Phoenix win a championship this year.
And the salary cap stipulations we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, like they prevented it from that kind of thing happening. What the Golden State Warriors did, where Kevin Durant comes in, they're trying to stop that kind of thing from happening. Now, obviously, LeBron is going to whine and get the players he wants to. We saw the Clippers do that same kind of thing and try to build that. The Nets did that same kind of thing, and those kinds of systems don't work anymore. Now you're trying to build on like maybe 2 elite players or 2 stars.
Is that your
and
father?
A good rotation.
Thomas, is that your father? That is your father. He says, we don't care about past championships. Who's going to win it today? And that's a good question. Obviously, going into the offseason, we will see how all of it falls together. There's still players still available. Dime could be traded. If Dame gets traded to Miami, I mean, that could be completely different. I mean, Miami could be one of the favorites to come out. So there's a lot of questions in the Eastern Conference. But right now, I mean, the Knicks and the Celtics, I expect Denver to be up there, OKC to be there with Hartenstein. They added some size, which they needed. Yeah. And I don't know if Hartenstein's going to put up the numbers he did with the Knicks, but I think he's a good addition. There are a couple of really good teams that are going to be standouts. Timberwolves are expected to do it again this year. Dallas could be better this year with adding Thompson if he could stay healthy, coming off the bench. They needed some secondary scoring off the bench. Now they added a guy like Klay Thompson. If he's somewhat what he was when he was at the beginning stages of his Golden State Warrior career, if he puts up 20 to 22 points. But let's go to a quick break. When we come back, I'm sure that's Jeff, right?
It's not Jeff. It's a different number. But...
All right, so tell him to hold on. When we come back, we'll get our guests. And obviously at 9 o'clock, we will have our guest, and we're very excited to have the first time I'm ever interviewing because everybody knows my name is Mike Doris Day, and I'm filling in for Errol Marks, I guess. We will be talking to analyst and statistician of the aceofspaders.com, Ryan Spaeder. But first, our Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the top of the hour with Tommy Scoops, meaning it is the Loudmouth Sports Minute. And jumping straight into some NFL, Packers and QB Jordan Love have made progress in contract extensions as earlier this week, Love announced that he would be sitting out of team practice until a new deal was done. The Packers did say that they have made huge progress and can expect the deal done within the next few weeks. As other NFL news, while on contract negotiations, the Cowboys have stressed that negotiations for 3 contracts will take time. Star Cowboy players Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons, who are all entering the final year of their contract, Cowboys management stress patience to the fans as they will get the contracts that they deserve. And lastly, over in the NBA, ESPN is expected to debut an NFL Red Zone type show for the NBA. NBA, who just signed a new 11-year media deal with the NBC, Disney, and Amazon, will include an NBA-styled Red Zone programming on ESPN. As now, it's time for Scoops to Scores, where currently over in the MLB, the only ongoing game is between the Mets and Braves, as the Mets have a 2-1 lead over the Braves in the end of the third inning, with the Athletics and Angels also starting at 9:38. That is currently all the time I have for you guys right now. I'm going to kick it back to the boys for the continuation of the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Willie Whopper, Speedy! Willie Whopper! Slap that ass. I don't drink a lot of milk.
Who's that guy saying slap that ass? I mean, 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. My name is Mike Doris Day, my co-host, Speedy. Petey, go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with Mike Doris Day right now and Speedy Petey. All you have to do to check out all our local listings for all the shows, go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. I love that picture. Who is that? That's me. That's Mike Doris Day right there doing his little, booby dance, Speedy. You know that dance, right?
I don't know. Maybe my Wild West counterpart would.
All right. Why don't we bring in our first caller of the show? Who are we speaking to?
I guess he hung up. Whoever called, you could call back.
Why don't you call him back, Speedy? You got his number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Call his number. We'll surprise him. Okay, we're waiting for this call. We're putting him through.
Well, it looks like a voicemail.
A voicemail. So whoever's trying to call the show, shame on you. What was the number? Was it 516?
It was a 631 Patchogue number. So
all right. So
we'll see if they call back.
I'm gonna predict that was Keith. I'm gonna predict that was Keith, guys. But Joel Embiid to me, finishing up with Joel Embiid in that story, I want to bring Fish in because I want to know Fish's opinion with the Joel Embiid situation. And really, who has Joel Embiid ever played with, Fish? You're on mute, Fish. You forgot about that. All right, hold on, Fish. Hold on, Fish. We have our guest.
I believe it is Keith. Keith, you with us?
Oh, you want me to call you back after you guess?
No. We have
no.
guest.
We don't have a guest until 9.
Okay. Hold on one second. Okay, so you guys are saying, Speedy, actually, you told me about Walt Frazier. First of all, he averaged 19 and 20 a game, not 13. All right, I saw both play. But I'm saying, and you said, well, the Frazier was as good an offensive player as Brunson, especially at this stage. You're going by 2 years. But Clyde played with all 4 other guys could score. So, you said I can't do a hypothetical, but why not?
All right.
We could have scored more, absolutely. Believe me when I tell you, I saw both play. Don't anybody, 50% of the people, at least 50% will tell you that as of right now, Walt Frazier by far is the best Knick ever. Now, maybe someday Brunson will be, but not yet. And he got 2 championships, by the way, Walt Frazier. And a time where there was great defense and basketball was much better quality of play. I'm telling you, I saw Paul play. Don't sit there and tell me he wasn't as good offensively.
But again, I think it's a
How
little.
can you say that when you never saw him play?
No. I'm not saying I saw him play either. I'm saying from a judgment of a raw offensive talent. We know maybe we talk about era adjusted things like if Oscar Robertson were to play today or Pistol Pete shooting threes were able to play today. Like obviously there's going to be some transition. We talked about it last week or a couple weeks ago when Colin Cowher was taking shots at the Olympic team. Like player prototypes are going to be different. I'm just saying in terms of a raw judgment of the era, the time for the eras where I think the athleticism at that time was not as high as it is even in the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, maybe Clyde Frazier could have scored that. Would he do it? I don't know. It's just tough to tell.
Oh, hell yeah. Let me tell you something. The basketball was better then. They're better athletes today, yes. But guys also today, as you know, score a lot more. They shoot a lot more. Look at the shooting percentage. I'm telling you, Frazier was awesome. You got to ask people who saw them both play.
I never saw Clyde Frazier play, and I know Walt. I met him a couple of times. One of the nicest people you ever meet. He really is.
Well, you knowing him has nothing to do with anything. He's a great guy.
I never saw him play. I've seen video of him. I've seen footage of him. I've seen him play when he won those championships with the Knicks. I saw live games.
My old ass is old enough to remember when I remember when they won in '69. I saw it. I was 6 years old, as you know, I'm a sports fan, like yourself, whatever. But I'm telling you, for the fact that they had 5 or 6 guys that could.
Why would Walt come out?
I mean?
Why would Walt come out and say that he believes that Jalen Brunson is a better player?
Of course he's going to say that. Walt's a class act. He's not going to say that he.
But he said it when they interviewed when Walt came out.
He never in his life has Walt Frazier said I was the best Knick ever, and he never would. Of course, I don't think
he was the best Knick.
Absolutely, not even close. Who was close? Who's the best Knick?
I think DeBusschere was.
No. DeBusschere was very good. I'm telling you right now, Frazier was about. Well, just ask the fans who've seen him over the years, who are older as me, if not older. Frazier. You had DeBusschere. You had Braley. Earl Monroe was awesome. Bernard King was awesome. But that team, they had 5 or 6 guys who could score.
Earl Monroe was he on the team?
Difference, like. Brunson was the only one who was not for Knicks. You had hard, inconsistent, even Chanto inconsistent. Earl, when Earl Monroe was with them.
Yeah,
right?
I remember. Yeah.
Those guys alone could have scored 30, 40 a game at any time they wanted.
Monroe did. When he was playing for the Wizards, he was one of the better offensive players in the league. So, I listen, I know my basketball in those days. I actually know more basketball.
I do too.
I know you do. I know you're a really good basketball player. I know your whole backstory about who you are and what you're. I know. I know you know the game of basketball as well. But when you have Walt Frazier, and you can argue, you could go back and forth on, but again, the Knicks haven't had a player of Walt Clyde Frazier's talent at the point guard position since Jalen Brunson. I mean, now Jalen Brunson.
Agree.
I mean,
I agree.
If you look at Rod Strickland,
could be better, but you can't give it to him yet.
Rod Strickland. I mean, come on. If you want to look at, I mean,
not like tons of talent, but he was,
I mean, they had a couple of St. John. They had another St. John player that was a pretty good point guard too. They drafted in the first round. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Jackson?
What?
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson. He was a good
Yeah,
point
he was
guard.
good. He didn't
He
compare
wasn't-
to Clyde. He was good.
No, but
He was slow. He was very slow.
but he was a good
But he
floor
was
man. He was
steady. He
good.
was a good point guard. He was
Yes.
a good pure point guard, but he was slow.
But they never
And he
had.
couldn't shoot.
The Knicks have never had good guard play. They always had a good front, or they had a rugged front, guys that like to beat you up. Even in the 90s, if you look at Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley, and even Patrick Ewing, as good as Patrick Ewing was offensively, and he was good, that fadeaway jumper that he had, that 15, 16-foot jumper, even his hook shot was pretty damn good.
He wasn't clutch.
No, he wasn't a clutch player, but how many players were clutch in those times? Elijah Wan was. I mean, there were very few players in those times that were clutch. Michael Jordan, even Karl Malone. Was he really clutch? Karl Malone wasn't a clutch player. He was never clutch. So, I get it. I mean, Charles Barkley, for all the greatness of Charles Barkley and what he was never a clutch player. Could never get over the hump.
I don't know about that. He just didn't have the same talent around him as Jordan did.
No, he didn't.
Of course, Jordan was better, but Barkley was great. And it just goes to show you don't have to win championships to be an awesome player.
I mean,
look at Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks
he
ever.
was. I think he was the greatest quarterback ever. I still believe Dan Marino is the greatest quarterback ever. I mean, you argue him and Joe Montana. I've always said it. I still think Joe Montana, because of what he did. I know everybody's going to say that there was no salary cap and you could do this and you could do that in those times. The game was completely different defensively. You could put your hands on players. You could do so many different things. I just think Joe Montana, what he did and the way he did it with San Francisco was pretty amazing. But Dan Marino never won. And look at the players he played around. He never had a number one wide receiver, ever had a number one wide receiver. And look at the numbers.
Well,
he actually played in a Super Bowl.
Cooper and Clayton were pretty damn good.
They were good, but they weren't.
They were small, whatever. They weren't big, tall guys.
They were number one wide receivers. They were.
Miami never had the defense of the San Fran teams. Like you said, though, Marino didn't have the talent around him. That's what I'm trying to tell Speedy. I don't know where you got 13 points a game from, Speedy. You're smarter than that.
Who was the average?
I thought he was.
No, Frazier averaged 18 points a game.
Okay, I thought he was in the 13-15.
No, he averaged almost 19 points a game. I remember because I remember talking to Clyde and we used to go back and forth with, comparing his skills to some of the guys in the NBA at the time. Like, I met Clyde 3 or 4 times. I went to his restaurant. He was signing autographs. I went to an event where he was signing autographs, had a good conversation. And at the time I said, if you were to pick a player right now in the NBA that plays the game like you, who would it be? And it was a good question. You know what he told me? Chris Paul. That's what he told me. And I said, Chris Paul wasn't as tall as you. He wasn't as long as you. He said, yeah, but he played like me. Chris Paul plays two-way basketball. Chris Paul can pass. He's a floor general. He plays defense. He's a great leader on the court. And that's what I was.
Yeah, Clyde was, I definitely think Clyde was better, but Chris Paul, he didn't
Chris
have.
Paul, I don't know about that. Chris Paul, 10 years was the best point guard in the league.
Yeah. Clyde was amazing at D. And also, he was just, he was tall, he's smoother, and Chris Paul never won when it came down. I think Chris Paul.
Chris Paul he didn't play with a lot of
Chris
great
Paul was
teams.
very good. I also think he's overrated.
I
got to chime in, guys. I agree with Keith. I was raised on the Clyde Frazier is the greatest Knick of all time.
Hold on 1 second. Fish is saying something.
Can't hear me.
Probably can hear.
I just wanted to read the famous Game 7 stats of Frazier in the Willis Reed game.
Well, mute it, and you go to the thing. You can hear it.
No, yeah, I'm not on my phone.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, look,
I'll tell you what.
Frazier in a Game 7 puts up 36, 19, and 7 rebounds to win the Game 7 for the championship when the captain Willis Reed is hurt. I was obviously I was a negative 13 years old, so obviously I didn't see it. But that's a crazy stat line and an amazing.
No, he was a good player. Again, Walt had a chance to play in the finals. I mean, we haven't seen Jalen Brunson. Chris Paul played in one finals. And by the way, he wasn't even healthy in that finals. I get with the with the Suns, right?
He got the most out of his athletic ability.
I mean,
if you compare, if you had a nice elbow, you had a great elbow jumper.
Yeah.
Chris Paul, not a great 3-point shooter.
Chris Paul's numbers. If you look at Chris Paul's numbers to, Walt Frazier's numbers, they're very similar. Walt Frazier averaged 18.9 points. Chris Paul 17.5 rebounds. Walt Frazier averaged 5.9 to Chris Paul's 4.5. Assists, Walt Frazier 6.1 to Chris Paul's 9.4. If you look at those numbers, they're very equal. Now, obviously, Chris Paul can't win the big game, but Chris Paul was never healthy in the playoffs. Ever could stay healthy in the playoffs. Walt Frazier, in those runs, he was pretty healthy. I mean, he was the big part of that.
Yeah.
He was a big part of those teams because he was fairly young.
He never got hurt.
No, he was also
never
young.
got hurt.
He was also a young player at that time too.
And the Clippers were really the only team that Chris Paul played for that had really good talent around him. The Hornets was never like that. The Rockets had one good player.
Frazier was 26, 27 when the Knicks were winning those championships, 26, 27, around that age. So
about his prime, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when Chris Paul actually played in the finals, he wasn't healthy. He was playing with the Suns, and how old was he?
Right.
I mean, he was like 35, 34. He was at the tail end of his
and even that team was a surprise team too. Like it wasn't like
Chris Paul never played with talent like Walt Frazier.
No,
he never did.
I'll give you that. I wish you could have, but I wish you could. Clark was so fucking smooth. Excuse my mouth.
No, it's
he was so smooth, and he was so clutch.
No, and again, Walt, and I'll tell you, Walt is one of the best and more funnier, charismatic people you'll ever meet. The guy, it's not a joke when he calls.
He's still in sick shape.
Yeah, sick shape is not even the question. I think he can. I think he could beat some of these, some of these NBA players one-on-one. I really do. I mean, I've seen him shoot a basketball. He was shooting a basketball at his. If you gone to his restaurant, he has basketball. He's like a half-court basketball court in his restaurant, and you could actually shoot. You can actually shoot in his restaurant, and the tables were moved, and he was shooting, and he was shooting free throws. He would shoot like 15, 20 of them, and he wouldn't miss. So, I mean, the guy could still shoot. He could still play. I don't know if he could beat any of these star players.
Do you think he could beat Caitlin Clark one-on-one?
No.
Okay.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
No. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. Are you all making fun of Caitlin Clark? Caitlin Clark's
Caitlin Clark's great. Wait, I'm not making fun of
Hold on.
Caitlin Clark is great.
Now, a lot of people, including Jeff and Snug, were taking shots out of her after playing the way she did in the beginning of the season. Now look at what her numbers are. The transition.
Well, shooting percentage is awful, but that doesn't mean that she's a great player. I don't think they were taking shots at her.
Yes,
they were taking shots.
Yes, they were.
Jeff was definitely taking shots at her.
Yes, he was.
They were taking shots of your prediction of 30 to 40.
Stop sticking up for Jeff. You know damn well he was taking shots at her. He was. Oh, what's her numbers? What's her numbers? What is she doing? Oh, look, she scored 6 points. She's great, Errol. She's great. Well, I thought she could play in the NBA. All this stupid stuff. And now look at her numbers. Now look at her numbers.
The NBA, she could. You have to admit, she could never play in the NBA.
I disagree. I still think she could.
No way.
I think she could.
Not even close.
I think she could.
But that's your opinion. We have our opinion.
Yeah, I again, now, obviously, people are going to argue those points, maybe because of her size and being that she's like 130 pounds soaking wet.
She could knock around. Even though they're not physical, they're probably more physical than WNBA.
And then she'll go to the free throw line every single time and score 15, 16 points. So that's pretty successful to me.
She wouldn't really get to the free throw line. It'd just be smacking her shit away.
Again, and Jeff, I never made a bet that she was going to average 30 points a game. Okay, Jeff, of course, you brought it in. I said that I wouldn't be surprised if she averaged 30 points a game. I never made a bet with you, and that shows you.
The quote was 30 to 40 a game.
So what? Did I make a bet with him? Did he?
No, I didn't say that.
I didn't make a bet, and then I
made a prediction that she'll score 30 to 40 a game.
Yeah, but I also said she was going to be one of the better players in the league. Did I not?
Also, Jeff said
who didn't know that?
What do you mean? Who didn't know that? Jeff said there's no
I
way.
knew that.
Jeff said she wasn't going to be one of the better players in the league. He said, I guarantee you.
I never heard him say that.
You never heard him say that. Of course.
He might have. No, he might have.
Of course you never heard him say
I never heard him.
Well, you know what? You could kiss Jeff's ass. I don't need to kiss it.
I might kiss it his ass.
He did say that. He did say that. He did say that. He did say that. And he says that to me, she'd be lucky to score. Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, she'd be lucky to score 7 to 8 points a game and six assists and something rebounds or something like that. That's what he was saying. I don't know the exact terms of what he said she was, but he never said that she was going to break records in her first year, which she's doing that right now. He never said that. And he also said that, Speedy, we have to bring up what Jeff said so we can actually bring it to the table because honestly, Jeff has said some stupid stuff on the show.
Also, Jeff's not allowed to complain about bets until he actually eats the dog crap he was supposed to.
He never falls in on his bets, guys. Anything that he's ever bet, he's never fallen in on his bets, ever. So, and that's all I'm going to say. He's going to say, well, you never forced me to do it, or you never pushed me to do it. Whatever, Jeff. You could have done it. You could have done it.
Do you know that story?
I can't see. Wait, what story? I can't see
of Jeff's bet that he was supposed to make.
I'm sorry?
I want to hear that. Jeff said that she would only have 7 8 a game.
Jeff said that she's not going to be the player she was in college. Jeff also said she's not going to be one of the best players in the league in her rookie season. She's got to learn how to develop the game in a WNBA game, which she's learned it pretty quick. He also said that we'll see what type of player she's going to turn out to be because we've said this about many different players and they've never come to anything. So he did say that, and I don't care what Jeff says. And when I find out, when I do get the words of what he said, I don't want to hear Jeff say that he never said it because he did. And every single time when the season started, I kept getting texts from Jeff. I could go back on some of the texts. Oh, what's going on with Caitlin Clark? 6 points, 3 assists. Oh, I should have bet on the under. Yeah. What's she doing now, Jeff? What's she doing now? Jeff? Where is she now? What's her numbers? Yeah. Anyways, I'm done with talking about Jeff. Jeff's an idiot. Anyways, Keith, what else you want to talk about?
Talk about Speedy.
I mean, we'll talk about Speedy a little bit later in the show. I mean, we always do.
All right. I only caught some of the Kobe Bryant and Shaq, or with each other, without each other. I think now Speedy, and this is more towards Speedy directed. Speedy, I'm very disappointed in you tonight. I'm shocked. But you tell me you can't get hypothetical. Well, how can you say what someone would have done if we don't know?
With like Kobe and Shaq?
Like as far as Shaq without certain guys, or you know what? The bottom line is, it is what it is, right? All these championships, they won how they won. They were teamed with whoever. So even like comparing players of different ages, it's getting to be too much of that. Like, you know what I mean?
You can't.
In different eras. No, I think.
I also said, Keith, about that Kobe won 2 championships after Shaq left for Miami, and then all the other teams he played for. And Shaq won one with Miami. So, like, all I said is it cancels out a little bit. And I mean, obviously,
Speedy, I want you to go back. By the way, when we spoke about Caitlin Clark in the beginning, while she was in the tournament, I want to get everything that Jeff said. I want to cut up, and I want to bring it on the show to prove that Jeff said that she was not going to have a good season as a WNBA player, and made jokes about it. So. I want to prove it to everybody so I could shove it down his throat. I want to shove it down his throat. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just telling Keith, like, yeah, I was saying that their longevity is probably pretty similar, and they both won without the other. And I think Kobe, the first time he played against Orlando, like that Orlando team was kind of a surprise team that year. They had a breakout of Dwight Howard, but then it was like random Jameer Nelson. Like that was not supposed to be the team that was supposed to go to the finals. And then that Miami Heat team versus Dallas too, the same kind of thing. So it kind of cancels in the same way, Keith. I didn't really judge the hypotheticals of that beyond what they had because Shaq just rotated teams after he left Miami.
By the way, they both won without each other. They're both great, so they're both capable of doing it. Don't matter who they played; they didn't ask to play anybody. That's what happened.
By the way, I'm sorry to cut you off. Kenny has disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm actually doing something very soon with a Giants player. One of them, his name is Lawrence Taylor, and when I do something with Lawrence Taylor, I was going to bring Kenny along to get a chance to meet Lawrence Taylor, and I was going to take him out to dinner. But hey, guess what? Kenny disappears, and Kenny don't pay his bets either. So I don't want to hear about it, Snug. So
bring me along. I'll pay.
Well, you don't have to pay anything. You want to pay? Yeah. Well, actually, Lawrence, we know Lawrence's agent, and I might be doing something with Lawrence very soon. So Lawrence,
Maybe we can all smoke crack after.
No, Lawrence actually got arrested recently. I don't know if you heard about
Yeah, I saw that for violating his probation in Florida because he didn't register as a sex offender somewhere.
yes.
Or another state, right?
Yes.
It was
Florida. It was
yeah,
Florida.
when he wasn't doing anything wrong, whatever, he didn't do that. And when he did get arrested for that BS, she was a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
So she boasted about the age. It turned out she was 16 to 17. I know what I want to say to you. Did you see that Pete Rose special on HBO?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God, I didn't even know they had it. It's great.
All right, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out tomorrow. I'll check it out tomorrow.
Yeah, go on the HBO. They're talking about how he supposedly was hanging out with like 12-year-old and 14-year-old women.
Mm-hmm.
He admitted to a 16-year-old being with, but they said she was really 14, and you could kind of tell he was BSing, and that had a lot to do with it too. What goes on, but it's really great, the whole show. It's 2 episodes so far. They showed last
How
night.
How many episodes is it? Is it a series?
So far, they just started with 2. I think it's going to be more though. It's really good.
I love Pete Rose, and I've always said that Pete Rose.
I know you do. Mostly I don't, but there's a lot of things. But he's very entertaining. I mean, he was a great. He was a competitive, played his balls up, but you could see. He's a sick puppy like a lot of us guys. But he was hanging out with some really young girls, and like supposedly 12 to 14 years old.
Yeah.
So that's a sick bastard. But he admitted on the show to someone being 16, and you could tell he was lying.
How many? But again, Keith, a lot of these NBA, NHL, MLB players they get away with a lot of murder. I mean, they cheat on their wives. They pick up prostitutes. I mean, how many pedophiles are there in the music world? I mean, we speak about that all the time. In the movie business, how many pedophiles? How many people on Epstein's list?
But right, oh God, yeah. Clinton,
Michael Jackson. I mean, come on. There were a load of
I know that, but when the fact is though that just also came into play, supposedly. But you have to see it not just about him being wrong. Like the whole show itself is great. They show all his teammates talking about him, and they really like him. Yeah.
How could you not like Pete Rose? I never get a chance to watch Pete Rose play. Actually, by the way,
him and Betts weren't fond of each other. But right, they respect it kind of thing. You just gotta watch it. You'll see.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out. And by the way, I don't know if anybody's seen Trump was on the Epstein. Absolutely was. But why are you bringing up Trump? We're not talking about politics. So was Clinton, big guy. So was Clinton and Hillary.
Yeah,
they both were on it. So was Clinton, and you thought he was a great president. So stop it, Jeff. Stop. You bring up politics. We don't even need to get into. There it is again. There he is. The power of Jeff. I don't think so.
Jeff and Snugcat. They made me a Boston Red Sox fan. They had me believe it. And I found the way. I think I'm going to be so rooting for New England too.
What?
What do you think?
What are you, nuts? Are you serious?
Right,
are you serious?
What's wrong with you? I found like, come on, Errol.
I know.
What do you think?
I know. I know you're not.
I'm thinking about it.
You think about it? I'll smack you silly, Keith. We need to go.
Don't turn it to the reverse version of Jeff.
By the way, the Olympics start now. The Olympics start now. I remember years and years ago when we went out with your son, we hung out in Tomorrow's Pub and we watched the Olympics together. I think we should do that and make it a thing again.
All right, as long as I get to meet Speedy.
Yes, we'll bring. Speedy's birthday's tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, okay. When's your birthday, Speedy?
Tomorrow.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, he's gonna be 29. The old bastard.
Oh, man,
the old
happy birthday,
dingbat.
Speedy.
23.
I'll take.
He was 23 when he started here with the network, and he's now 29. 6 years in, baby. 6 in.
Happy birthday, Speedy.
I might have to sing happy birthday.
I think you need to fly Jeff and Snugcat out there.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go travel Sacramento in a whole 24 hours.
That would be a great night out.
Jeff will never show his face because he never shows his face whenever I come out there to Florida. He magically disappears off the face of the earth. I did. How many times did Carl try to meet up with him and he never showed up? Okay, I think it was twice he tried to meet up with Carl. Tried to meet up with him when he was in Tampa, and when he reached out to Jeff, he was nowhere to be found. So I doubt. I very much doubt. By the way, what is this? He's like, congrats on the meeting with LT. Oh, thank you. Shout out to James. Jamie Lee, baby. Jamie Lee. Happy birthday to Speedy. Yes, I'm going to sing happy birthday on today on the show during Speedy After Dark. We're all going to sing. We're all going to sing a verse for old little Speedy. Right, Speedy? All right. But keep listening to the show, buddy.
I'll talk to you guys later now.
We got a lot more basketball to get into, so keep listening.
And it's, again, boys, it's not a lie if you believe it. So take care.
What is he saying right over here? What is Jeff saying? I tried to meet up with Carl. I couldn't make the Rays game and told him to meet me after. Yeah, sure you did. Yep.
What's wrong with you?
Sure you did. I was out in Tampa twice. And every single time I was going to drive out to Tampa to meet Jeff, nowhere to be found. Oh, I got other plans. I got this. I got that. Yeah, sure you were. Sure you did. Hey, Jeff, guess what? I'm coming out to Florida in September. Let's see what excuse you have now when it comes to Florida. I'll be out in Tampa, flying into Tampa for a week in September. I'm leaving on I think we're going to leave on Thursday night. We're going to do the show on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Saturday and Monday. We'll be back before Tuesday. So we're going for that whole week. We'll see if Jeff actually shows his face. I'm gonna predict no. Okay. Who wants to put money on that? What about you, Fish? What do you think? What's the bet? It's not going to happen, right?
Jeff is gutless. He's not showing.
I think so too. I don't think he's showing up.
That LT case kills me as a Giants fan. It also happened where my junior prom was at that hotel, and they had to change the name of the hotel because of the whole thing with LT. It's pretty crummy situation all around. We had our football dinners there every year.
All right, now Jeff's calling. Do you want to put him on?
Oh, wonderful.
All right. Well, we'll put him on, but if he says anything stupid, hang up the phone on him.
All right, Jeff. You can't say anything stupid where we're hanging up on you.
It's this network. Everything's dumb. I just sent you the screenshot of my conversation with Carl where I said, I'm taking my lady friend out to dinner. I said, meet us afterwards for drinks. And he gave me a thumbs up. So saying that I didn't try to meet up with Carl was false. Also false is trying to insinuate that I didn't try to pay up on our bet, which I did, which you told me not to. Also going to be false. You said, and you were trying to make a bet with Keith. I'll bet you anything. She scores 30 or 40 points a game. And I said, Huckleberry, $5,000. Let's go.
I said no.
You didn't want to do it. And you didn't. Right. And you didn't want to do it. And guess what? And guess what? She averages 17 points a game.
All right.
Which is of the lowest number.
Did you not say she was going to have a good season as a rookie? Did you not say that?
No, I think she is good. Like, that's the whole thing. But people don't, as rookies, come in and become the leading scorer of the league, which is what you would have had her doing. People don't do that in any league. You don't go from, I was in college last year, now I'm dominating everybody. Even LeBron James, who was maybe the greatest,
what did she average in college, Speedy? What did she average in college? Go look at Caitlin Clark and what she averaged in college.
But there's a difference between being the senior and being the big dog with all people younger than you, and then being the youngest one at the next level where everyone is good. There's a huge difference in that. And I'm also not the one that was like, she could play in the NBA. She'll just shoot over anyone.
What is it? 28.4 points a game.
28.4? 28.4? Okay.
Right, but that's when she's the oldest person there and everyone else is younger than her and she can bully people. She was there for 4 years. If you look at college athletics, generally the seniors are better than everybody else. That's what happens.
And her whole career, she was the oldest player.
She also wasn't the best player the whole time. If you go back, the first 2 years she was in college, she was the best player in college basketball.
No, I'm not saying she was the best, but
then there you go.
But she was still scoring at a high level for younger players, though.
Right, yeah, certainly. But even wasn't scoring at the highest level for her age group. Who scored more than her in the first 2 years? Paige Beckers.
Okay. All right, so it's
right.
That's fine. I'm not saying she wasn't. Paige Beckers before she got hurt. Yeah, she was better at that time. But like Caitlin Clark still scoring 26.6 and 27 as freshman and sophomore still is a lot.
But people don't average what they average in college their first year in pros anywhere. It doesn't happen.
I'm not saying it's going to be like that all the time. But you're gonna.
But
Beckers is
Earl's
going to probably
point
deal
was,
with that.
That's what Earl. Right. So she wasn't even averaging 30 points a game in college, where she was the best player. Now she's going to go to the next level where everyone is as good as her or better, and then she's going to average a higher number. And by the way, 30 was the low part. He was saying she's going to average 30 to 40.
Yeah, I did say that. I did.
And she averages 17.
And I believe by the end of this season, she'll average closer to 20.
Yeah, she probably will. It'll go up a little bit, but I'm also skeptical of how much it will go up, because she's kind of turned into an assist machine,
which has helped the team.
And by the way, I just want to.
It has helped. But did anyone, when she was drafted or leaving college or whatever we're calling it, did anyone go, "Wow, what a great passer"? Nobody said that. Not a person
said that. They just were more enamored by the scoring, but she was still one of the best passers.
Right, Speedy. But she wasn't like, "Oh, we want to watch Caitlin Clark because she passes." That's dumb. Speedy.
No,
That's
nobody.
just dumb.
No, nobody cares. Nobody cares about what you're passing. As a matter of fact, they want to see you score. That's why the NBA has changed. That's why they tried to move the NBA and transition the NBA into an offensive game. That's why they're doing it in football. That's why they're doing it in hockey. They're trying to change the game because there's more offense. So of course, nobody cares about who's passing the ball. She can have 15 assists a game, and nobody gives a crap. But when
I think she did. I think she just did, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She was the first 29.
I thought it was like a 19 assist game or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a 19 assist game, and there was also one the week before that where she was the first 29 points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds. I think it was 5 steals and 3 blocks.
I mean, as a shithead degenerate gambler, I pay attention to numbers, bro. Like, I pay attention, and there's no way if you're averaging 28 in college, she's all off. My rookie year in the WNBA, I'm going to average 40. That's ridiculous nonsense.
Let me ask you a question, Jeff. And this is honest truth. Do you see Caitlin Clark becoming the biggest superstar in WNBA history? Yes or no?
I think she could. I think there's other people there that are very, like, look, I think she's eventually going to be a top 5 player in the league. There's other girls there, man, that are, dude, Kelsey Plum is very good. Dude, Breanna Stewart, still a beast. Like, there's plenty of, like, I don't know about Sabrina Ionescu. I don't know about her too much. She's kind of more maybe.
She's a good player.
Yeah, she's good. I think she just is what she is, though. I don't know what Angel Reese. No one's talking about Angel Reese. Didn't she just set the WNBA record for like consecutive double-doubles or something?
Yes, it was just snapped last week.
Right. So if you're gonna say top 5 and you got to stick to 5, you can't go, "Oh, they're a top 10 player" and then name 15 people. She's not a top 5 player in the league now, and it'll be a couple of years before she is.
I think she's a top 12 player. I think she's right there. I would. You could argue.
I mean, if you're judging by scoring, she's the 20th player, because that's where she is on the scoring.
Yeah, but you're looking at her all-around game. If you're looking at her all-around game, her game.
Right, but there's other people that do things too, because they're scoring. Then there's also the rebound party.
I mean, Diana Taurasi, who I'm not a big fan of, by the way. She's got a lot to say, but Diana Taurasi, she's averaging still 16 points a game. I mean, she's still putting up good numbers. As a player that's how old? I think Diana Taurasi's got to be 39.
I think that's a great.
42.
I think that's a great point, by the way, because I just want to stick with your point that you're making, because she's basically averaging what Caitlin is scoring, right? It's like a point apart, 2 points apart. It's basically the same, and everyone is saying that player is washed and Caitlin is the greatest. You can't have it both ways. That's the problem with it. They're trying to just anoint her without her being the best. That's the problem.
I don't think. First of all, I
is everyone saying Diana Taurasi is washed? Is everyone saying that?
No, I don't think anybody.
Oh, come on!
I don't think Diana Taurasi is washed. I mean, she's still a good player.
When they put Diana Taurasi, when they put which is even more amazing, by the way, right? And when they put Diana Taurasi on the Olympic team and left Caitlin Clark off, everyone was like, blasphemy. That's ridiculous.
She's a superstar. Listen, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say she's
we're
a super.
arguing two different things. We're
She's considered now. Caitlin Clark is considered a superstar because of what she is for the WNBA.
We're arguing two different things, and you can be right about yours, but I'm not wrong about mine.
Go ahead.
Because what you're arguing is Caitlin Clark should be on the team to help grow the game.
Yes,
and that is a fair point. But also, Diana's probably the better player. More experience, like things like that.
I disagree.
So you can't argue that she should be on the team because of her merits, which wouldn't be true. But you could argue she should be on the team because of publicity, and you want to grow the
Diana
game.
Diana Taurasi is not a better player than Caitlin Clark. Not a chance.
They're averaging like the same amount of points.
Diana Taurasi.
They're averaging like if Diana Taurasi is averaging 16 and Caitlin's averaging 17.
Diana Taurasi is averaging 2.6 assists a game and 4.7 rebounds a game. To Caitlin Clark's, I don't know. She's averaging like 5 and 7,
6.8. That's the big game.
5 and 8 or something like that. I mean,
right, but at the time
Caitlin Clark's a better
that
player.
wasn't happening because that was weeks ago before she had her 19 assist game. And but the stats were basically the same, which is fine. They're basically the same. But you can't be arguing that she's a better player because it's not true. You can't argue she should be on the team for publicity because you want to grow the game.
All right, Speedy, I want you to do this. I want to do this.
But that's also not on the merits, though, right? Like that's like arguing, oh, we should put I don't know, name a men's basketball. Oh, we should put Zion on the team because he bangs porn stars, and that would be a whole new demographic. And then you get laughed in your face because you're like, he's not nearly as good at basketball. Like that's what you're arguing.
Speedy, let me do me a favor. I want you at the end of the show, actually during the show, why don't you post up who's a better player right now in the WNBA, Diana Taurasi or Caitlin Clark? Put it up. Let's see let's see how during the show how many people vote.
People can vote how they vote, but the numbers are the numbers. You're the numbers guy. Look at the numbers, right? Look at the numbers.
The numbers would tell you Caitlin Clark's better.
They're the same. They're the same.
No, they're not.
They're the same. At the time they picked the team, they were the same.
They're not the same player. They're not. Caitlin Clark's a better player.
Does experience not count for anything? Does experience not count?
She's 42 to a 23-year-old.
Oh, think about how amazing it is that a 42-year-old can average the same.
She's 20 years older than when she became a WNBA player, Caitlin Clark was just born.
It's like the discussion we were having before. You're going to say LeBron at 40 years old is right now currently better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's the same.
Well, then argue
Caitlin Clark was
LeBron
2.
off the team because he's old.
Okay, but players can get old. We're not saying that Diana Taurasi is like done. She's not like useless. She's still a capable enough player.
I think I'm like 3 months older. I think I'm 3 months older than Diana Taurasi. We're born in the same year.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Yeah, I mean it's possible. She's an older player, but when her numbers are basically the same, you're not arguing Caitlin Clark on the merits. You're arguing it because for publicity, which is not a basketball reason.
So you're telling me right now, honest to God, you're sitting here today. You're looking at your roster, and you have your last pick. You have Diana Taurasi or Caitlin Clark. You're picking Diana Taurasi.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
I'm asking you. I want to know your. I want to know your honest.
No. I would agree with you. I would take Caitlin Clark because you want to grow the game.
No,
right?
even
because
take that away. Take that away. If Caitlin Clark wasn't,
I mean, it's not. No, because it's not taking it away because the proof is in the pudding. Both leagues simultaneously with the same company signed 11-year media rights deals.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And one signed 11 years for $2.2 billion, and the other one signed 11 years for $76 billion.
Well, the NBA is bigger. The NBA is bigger.
Yeah. Also, it's time the WNBA got off the NBA's teat and went out on their freaking own and earned their own money. I want the NBA to stop subsidizing it and see.
I would agree with you on that.
Their own.
I would agree with you on that. 100%.
Right. So I would like to see Caitlin Clark because I'd like to see the game grow. Personally, like let's see if they can survive on their own. Sink or swim at this time, buddy. You've been mooching off of the NBA for, I don't know, is it 15 years now? How long has that dog shit league been in existence?
Well, it's funny you said that because we were just about to get into the subject. You could stay on if you want, and I want to get Fish involved as well. The NBA has officially announced that there's a new media rights deal worth about 11 years, $76 billion. There are 4 networks and streaming services involved in the deal: ESPN, NBC, Peacock, and Amazon. This new deal will also mean that there will be a national NBA game on every day. TNT reportedly matched the Amazon offer, which was worth about $1.8 billion, but Adam Silver says they never did. TNT will still broadcast inside the NBA for one final season, but will not get any national broadcasting. What? So does that mean Charles Barkley and all of them are going to be a part of that again? I would think not. I don't think they're a part of that. And honestly, TNT was so fun to watch when you got a chance to see Shaquille O'Neal and Smith and Barkley and all the Woody and Johnston. I mean Ernie Johnston. This is I think it hurts the NBA when you see the NBA. It's entertaining. That's what you want to see. You want to see entertainment, and that's what you want. And I know LeBron James is the center stage. He's the face of the NBA right now. But how long is LeBron James going to be in the NBA? 2 more years?
Hopefully not much longer.
Yeah, 2 more years. So who's the next guy up? Who's going to take over for LeBron James when he's gone?
Jalen Brunson.
I mean, seriously, what are they going to do? And again, this $76 billion deal is well-deserved. The NBA is growing internationally, nationally, all throughout the world. There are a lot of NBA fans. The players are most followed on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. Their players are watched and looked at more than the NFL. So obviously, for the players, when it comes to single players, they're the biggest stars right now in professional sports. So they can build their product around players, not around teams. And that's what hurts the game. That's when we sit down, and Jeff, you know this, we're NBA fans. We follow, you're a Celtic fan.
I'm not an NBA fan. I'm a Knicks fan and a gambler. So
you're an NBA fan and you were a Celtic fan. Now all of a sudden a Knicks fan. But
I don't like the racists.
But we grew up being fans of teams. Now these kids are starting to become fans of players. They don't care about what team is in the NBA Finals or what team's going to the Eastern or Western Conference Finals. They just care about if Steph Curry's there, LeBron James is there, Anthony Edwards is there, Nikola Jokic. All they care about is the players, and that's because of fantasy and fantasy sports and betting, like you. Has hurt the game. Has hurt the NBA.
Whoa.
It has hurt the NBA. The only thing that it's helped the NBA is getting these new TV deals. Why? Because they're more watched because people are betting. These degenerate bettors like you, Jeff, that are out there willing.
I love John Porter unders.
Exactly. So when you have ESPN and NBC and Peacock and Amazon making out on these deals, because they are, and they're going to bring in so many commercial deals from many different people like Coca-Cola and, Microsoft and Apple.
Who doesn't love Coke?
Well, you do. That's for sure. In many different ways in step one. Anyways,
that's right.
By the way, Bovada, guys, go check out Bovada. Our QR code's right on the top. 100% on the first deposit if you hit and click our logo over there or our QR code over there. Bet on almost anything, including the president election or quarters, periods, whatever, even seconds. You could bet. Maybe you could bet on what hat Speedy is going to wear, next week. I don't know. You could bet on
Caitlin Clark unders.
That's right. You can withdraw from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and no limitations on what state you are in. You can bet anywhere. FanDuel, you can't do that. DraftKings, you can't do that. Well, Bovada, you can. All you have to do to join Bovada right now is click the join button, hit our QR. That's our QR code, and you have a chance to be matched with any money that you put into it. So if you put $100, it'll be matched with $100 extra. So that's $200. $200, that's $400. So you have a chance.
Anyone just depositing $100 is a member of the Poors, and you should be gambling anyways because you need more money.
There you go.
There you go, Jeff. Join Bovada and start the movement.
He probably
Sorry,
has.
friend. I have Hard Rock legal in Florida. I'm a loyal Hard Rock guy, but I do enjoy that you are having gambling partners with the show. Go Bovada.
I know he loves his gambling. But going back to this whole Adam Silver thing, very interesting about the TNT and the fact that they were going to match or they offered as much as Amazon, and Adam Silver said they didn't. I don't know if it to be true. And again, we would have to reach out to execs over there at TNT to know it to be true. But if Adam Silver's coming out and saying they're not, who's lying here? Is the NBA lying, or is TNT lying? The great thing about TNT over the last couple of years was the NBA coverage and the NHL coverage. I love it. I love what they do with the NBA, and I love that inside the NBA with Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley. I love his analyzation and what he does for the NBA. Even with other sports, they go off the tag and off the cuff, and they talk about the NFL and even the NHL. So and
gambling
and gambling and the NCAA. So I don't understand it. Maybe Amazon decides to hire these guys and brings them to Amazon. But again, these TV coverage is open in many different ways now. Now the Peacock is taking over and Amazon is streaming. You're going to see YouTube eventually win out on some of these deals, and you're going to see other opportunities for streaming organizations to make money in the near future. And I think this is great for the NBA. I think it's great for the NHL. I think it's great for the NFL, and that's going to bring in more money. And then some of these players are going to make all of these players are going to make more money in the future as well.
Yeah, and you also look at the potential for the salary cap to explode, where it makes it doesn't even matter too. Like we were talking about NBA players running the league all the time. Like they have a salary cap and they have these salary stipulations, but it's a loose end of now these players could get what is not labeled as a max contract could still end up getting even more money than they already are. Now, obviously, the NBA, in comparison to the other sports, have these bench players that are making what starters are in other leagues a lot of the time as well. But at the same time, I think you look at this deal with TNT, it's surprising this kind of thing wouldn't be able to go through. TNT, you're right, like you said, has a lot of powerful executives as well. That's why I do think Adam Silver, maybe a little.
Ted Turner's one of the richest men in the world. How do they not negotiate a deal? Now, Amazon, obviously, Bezos, but Bezos doesn't even own Amazon anymore.
Right.
He doesn't even own him. He sold the rights. Really?
I mean, not true.
Well, he did. He sold 51%.
He sold some of his stock.
He sold a lot of his stock.
It doesn't matter. He still has stock there, which still makes you an owner.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I don't care if I have one share, he's still an owner.
All right.
Which is a problem. Which is a problem.
But he doesn't own the majority stock shares.
He can't buy in. Right. But he's still. Dude, he's still a massive.
Yeah,
he's still the biggest shareholder, I think, in the company.
No, I don't think he is. I think he sold 51%.
No, I thought he was still the single biggest shareholder, maybe.
No, I don't know. I heard through the grapevine that he sold 51% of his stock sharing. So,
right, but if it goes to a corporation, those other people that are interested, I still think he's the biggest.
I don't know. Speedy, look that up. Actually, one of you guys, Fish, you look that up. I heard through over the last. I think it was the last couple of months that he sold the rights to it. I don't know how much he sold it for, but it was a significant amount of money that he sold. Almost 51 or 52% of his stock.
Right,
share.
but if he sells it
what
to
is
a
it?
company,
largest stake. He is it says a 12-figure stake in the tech giant. He's the largest shareholder. He's the largest shareholder. He doesn't own the majority, but he owns more than anyone else does by himself.
Right. He doesn't own the majority, but he's still the single biggest shareholder, right?
Right. I don't know why we're even arguing about this. I think the thing is, what else do you watch on TNT? Does TNT have a good streamer? I don't think that the answer to that is yes.
Sports, really. It's really just the sports.
Just sports. But what else do they have on the rest of the day? It's not like a big target place where you want to put your programming. If you can get into one of these streamers like Amazon, which is the way of the future. TNT is the way of the past. Ted Turner's got to be like 90 years old. I hate to say it. We just saw a presidential candidate step down for being too old. I think Turner's a lot older than him, to be honest with you.
Yes.
And I don't really think that TNT has anything going forwards that I even want to watch on there if the NBA wasn't there. So maybe the NBA is thinking we make TNT. They should be offering a lot more than everybody else. And I think they kind of matched, and the NBA or Silver maybe had an agenda otherwise or another deal, but they shut them down. And it doesn't matter who's the owner. That's what happened.
But the numbers were up when the NBA was on television. When it was on TNT, it was very highly watched. As a matter of fact, the numbers were as high as they ever have been this past year. In the playoffs too, and a lot of people say they don't really watch the playoffs until the last two rounds, the Eastern and Western Conference Finals and the finals. People really don't care about the semifinals in the division, the first round of the playoffs. Nobody cares. They care about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, and they care about the finals. So. The NBA,
right, this is a move for the NBA to bring them into the future. Like,
yes,
times do and always must change, because I can remember when the NBC was like the lead with the NBA, and it was Bob Costas and Marv Albert and those guys, and everyone was super mad that it was going to TNT, and it turned out great. So let's wait and see what Amazon and these other companies do about bringing in shows. Like, everything must change and
But
evolve.
doesn't that bother you that you would have to have Amazon Prime to watch those games?
Who doesn't have Amazon?
A lot
Who
of
doesn't
people
shop from home?
But a lot of people don't have Amazon Prime. You have to
Right,
have
and that's also part of why they do this deal. So now everyone's going to spend whatever it is.
And then
$5 or $6
and obviously Amazon Prime's going to go up. It's going to go up. So you have a subscription of what is it, $10 a month or something like that? It's going to go up 20.
There's different there's different levels.
Yeah.
But right. But it is what it is. But that's part of them doing this deal. They want more subscribers. Everyone does it. It's why you can't passcode share on Netflix anymore.
But how is that? But how is that fair to the people that have Amazon Prime now? Why should they have to pay more?
Well, if they had but if they had Bovada, they could make more money to be able to afford the Prime subscription. So start gambling, people.
There you go, Jeff. Inadvertent plug.
Are you in the pool?
No, I am outside. It's raining though. Having a
I hear
nice
some
smoky
water.
treat out here on the patio.
Is there a hurricane over there? Is it almost hurricane season?
Yeah, it is hurricane season.
Okay.
Buddy, it's Florida. It's hot as fuck here. What do you like? Well, it rains every
Just
day.
asking if it's hurricane season. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hurricane. Yeah, hurricane season started. I don't know. The 1st of June, I think, or something like that. So it was started a while ago. But yeah, I mean, it is what. But that's what it is. Like, it's the evolution, my man. It's going to Prime. Everyone get Prime. If you're too poor for Prime, get a second job or start gambling. Click the link, Bovada.
Stop buying your cigarettes, right, Jeff?
What about my cigarettes?
I said stop buying your cigarettes, and then you'll have money.
No, people should smoke more. People should smoke more, right? Be an actual adult and smoke cigarettes. You pussies with your vapes are idiots. I'm sick of you people with your stupid. Oh, I got candy vape. Get out of here, you child.
You got Fish shaking his head. You have Scoops over here shaking his head. You
Oh, I got blue raspberry vape today. I'm an adult.
I have to laugh at it. It is pretty funny. It's true. People with the and by the way, the vapes are worse than cigarettes. By the way, I've read a lot.
Good. Let's hope they start killing some of that generation. They're the dumbest people on the planet.
All right, Jeff. Thank you for calling.
I have milkshake vape today. It's delicious. Morons.
Jeff from Tampa, ladies and gentlemen. What a guy. I have to say he was very professional there. I would say that. Fish, you would say that. I would say he's professional.
It was one of his better calls. I didn't get Jeff to wish Speedy happy birthday, though. I didn't know about this.
Well, we are going to sing happy birthday a little bit later in the show because it is Speedy's birthday tomorrow. We're very excited. Speedy, you're very excited? 29, almost 30.
29, yes.
What are we doing for your 30th birthday?
I don't know. We're planning that a year ahead where I don't even know where I'll be.
We're going to swim with sharks.
Oh, God.
Jeff did send
you were the one afraid of
telegram of a
sharks.
happy
I don't like
birthday
sharks, but
gift,
for
though,
you,
for you.
your birthday, I'm swimming with sharks.
Oh.
Jeff, that's pretty funny. That's a good picture. That's pretty good. Happy birthday to Speedy.
Sucks says, LOL, people should smoke more cupcakes. Yeah, you probably wouldn't the one to have the smoke in them stuck.
That's pretty funny, actually. That's good. Mike Greenberg said on the Pat McAfee show that Robert Saleh always does the opposite of what he says, and he should do every time. Greenberg added that Aaron Rodgers is way more important to the Jets' success than Saleh will ever be. He also added that he believes the Jets will be better this season with expectations that aren't as high as they were last year. He also added that he believes Davante Adams will be a Jet by Halloween. Saleh is 18-33 in 3 seasons with the Jet as the Jets head coach and has the 3rd lowest winning percentage among active head coaches who have coached multiple seasons. His .353 winning percentage trails only Dennis Allen's .343 and Matt Eberflus is .294. Okay. Everybody knows how I feel about Robert Saleh, okay? Everybody knows that I think Robert Saleh is not a good head coach. Everybody. And it's not taking shots at what he is as a football defensive coordinator. He is a good, successful defensive coordinator. But I'm going to speak highly of what Pat McAfee says and I usually never do. Robert Saleh has been a failure ever since he came to this organization. Aaron Rodgers is everything to this team. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy this year, I think there'll be a lot of success. I think the Jets win about 11, 12 games. I even had them winning 13 games on my list. I just think right now, Davante Adams, there's no guarantees. You know, if the Raiders have the season that they had in the second half, they're a borderline playoff team. Do you think that the Raiders are going to trade Davante Adams if they have a winning record by the trade deadline? I don't think so. By Halloween, I don't think they're going to. Davante Adams and the Raiders have to be like 1-5 or 1-6 for that to happen. And actually, in October at that time, that's 4 weeks, 5 weeks in, they would have to be like 1-4 for the Raiders decide to trade Davante. I don't think that's going to happen. Robert Saleh is the worst coach right now in the NFL. You heard it from me. He's the worst coach in the NFL. And that's not because of the talent that he has. It's not because of him that he has talent. It's because of Joe Douglas. Now, Joe Douglas is getting reamed right now with the Hassan Reddick trade, and as well as he should. But Hassan Reddick will absolutely join this team one way or another because the Jets aren't going to trade him. And he's not going to sit out for the whole season because he's not going to make his $26 to $28 million. But this team has been nothing but a mockery. And one of the reasons why they've been a mockery, because Robert Saleh takes receipts. It's ridiculous. This organization has the talent to win right now. They had the talent to be a borderline playoff team last year. They had 7 wins last year with what? Third-tier quarterbacks. And now you bring in Tyrod Taylor. You bring in Aaron Rodgers for a full season if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. You bring in some offensive line help. You have a Super Bowl contending team. There's no excuses for Robert Saleh. And Pat McAfee is absolutely right. Robert Saleh has nothing to do with this success for this team this year. If they have success, it has everything to do with Aaron Rodgers, not Robert Saleh. It's embarrassing if you're a Jets fan to even come out. And I'm going to tell you, shame on the Jet fans. Shame on the Jet fans on social media saying that Robert Saleh hasn't had the talent around him, or Robert Saleh is a good coach. He just didn't have quarterback play. Are you kidding me? You're the one who wanted Zach Wilson. You're the one who wanted to draft Zach Wilson. I was one of those guys too. I was wrong about Zach, and he was wrong about Zach. Everybody wanted to blame Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur has success right now with the Rams, is he not? He's the offensive coordinator. Did they not play the Lions in the playoffs? They lost against the Lions, a team that was a borderline Super Bowl contender. What have the Jets done? Everybody wanted to blame Mike LaFleur. Now you're going to blame Nathaniel Hackett? This is Robert Saleh's problem. Robert Saleh's the head coach. He needs to figure out. And by the way, Robert, were you the one that said in the offseason that the Jets are going to have 3 play callers for the offense? Did you not say that? Did you not say that it's not going to only be Nathaniel Hackett calling plays? It's going to be you and an abundance of players on the bench? Did you not? I mean, coaches on the bench calling offensive plays? That shows you have no trust in Nathaniel Hackett, which tells me you should have fired him in the offseason, you stupid ass. This is an organization that has been played and been laughed at and had so much mockery over the clown show. This is the circus, and it's been nothing but Ringling Brothers. We shouldn't call them the Jets. We should call them the New York Circus. It's horrible. 18-33, and he still has a job. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers wants him there. Aaron Rodgers wants Robert Saleh there. Aaron Rodgers wants Nathaniel Hackett there. Why? To lose? If they don't win this year, there's no excuses for Robert Saleh. He's fired. Joe Douglas is fired. Nathaniel Hackett's fired. And by the way, this whole team is going to be, expanded because everybody's going to be gone. Sauce is going to want out. Garrett Wilson's going to want out. Half the players are going to want out of this organization. Why? Because of the, coaching of Robert Saleh. He's a pretty boy who stands behind his nice, beautiful shaved beard and his nice, smooth hairdo. No hair. Bald man who looks like Mr. Clean, a better looking Mr. Clean. It's embarrassing. This has been an organization, and Pat McAfee's right. Robert Saleh has been nothing but a cancer, nothing but a poison to the New York Jets and the organization.
Quickly before we get our guest on, I want to reiterate what Bilal Powell said the last time we had him on too. Like, Joe Douglas has done special things, like with his trades, with his.
He also said Robert Saleh's not a good coach either.
Yeah, and he's done like the significant things to really uptick the New York Jets organization in their recent growth. What has Robert Saleh done significantly upward towards like making these random defensive players better or making a good decision as a head coach? We've seen 2 straight years, the second half of the season, the Jets have collapsed, even with the quarterback issues. And I think that kind of thing has to be warned with that. Lovie Smith was fired for the Bears, who was a much better coach than Robert Saleh is, for collapsing the way he did in the second half with the Bears. So you definitely have to believe he's on the hot seats.
I'm going to say this right now. Dennis Allen might have a worse winning record than Robert Saleh. Dennis Allen's achieved more as a coach right now with the Saints than Robert Saleh has done with the New York Jets. That's the facts. Okay. I don't care what his winning percentage is. I care about success. And the success would show me on a piece of paper. Robert Saleh, all he does is speak to the press. When it comes to the press and the questions, the hard questions, Robert Saleh don't want to answer them. But when it comes to the easy questions, he'll answer them. How about just answer the damn questions? I have to say that about Dable. Say whatever you want about him, and I've taken shots at Dable. If somebody's going to attack him, he's going to answer all the questions. He's not going to sit back and relax. He's going to say how he feels. He's going to speak how he feels. Robert Saleh, when it comes to beating around the bush, he is the best at beating around the bush. And I don't want to hear it anymore. This is the season. This is the season they should make the playoffs. This is the season of success. If they don't get to the AFC title game, it's a failure. You heard it from me. The AFC title game, it's a failure of the season. This is the most talented team on paper in the AFC. It's not even an argument. There's not even a question right now. If you look at the talent, it's better than Kansas City. It's better than half the rosters in the NFL. How is this team not a Super Bowl contender? And Robert Saleh has no excuses now. I don't want to hear, Rodgers looks old, or he can't move inside and out of the pocket. I don't want to hear it anymore. This is a team. I don't want to hear it that Hard Knocks ruined the chances of them being in a Super Bowl, or jinxed all the Jet fans saying Hard Knocks jinxed us. You know what jinxed us? Bad coaching of Robert Saleh.
Don't you think it's just like he's a rubber stamp for Rodgers? Rodgers, I don't know what's worse, that Rodgers wants it. Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's just a guy who can run the defense and let Rodgers do whatever he wants, so they can just sign the checks. Or the problem is the Jets leadership who are like, we're so incompetent. That's the best plan that we have for success, to just let an entitled aging quarterback who just tore his Achilles to just control all of this. I don't understand how they think this is going to last more than a year.
I tell you how they're going to do it. You know, I listen. I don't know how they did it in Penn State, and I'm not going to mention any things. But hey, Robert Saleh is probably right now in the bathrooms while Aaron Rodgers is taking a shower, and you have Robert Saleh, you have Joe Douglas, and they're all on their hands and knees jerking them off. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. It's disgusting, by the way. I shouldn't have said it that way, but hey, you know what? It's a disgusting analogy, but hey, it's just the facts of what we see. So that's what I think the Jets are right now. They're an organization in turmoil, and this is a bad move by the New York Jets. I'm going to tell you this right now. As much as I like Aaron Rodgers, I like Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to be successful. To me, if you have a quarterback, and I love Aaron, I think Aaron's going to have a good season. If you have a quarterback running this organization, that says a lot about what your organization is and where your organization is going. So I don't even know where I was bringing up the whole shower thing, but that's disgusting. I want to apologize to the fans. But hey, I think that's what Robert Saleh is doing right now. I think he's having a little fun with Aaron Rodgers. And I think Joe Douglas is doing it too. Oh, Aaron, we love you. Oh, and Woody Johnson's the key, he's the key giver right now. If Aaron tells him to bend over, he's going to bend over, He's running the organization. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to analyst and statistician, our friend, well, your friend, Speedy, because this is my first show. As my name's Mike. It's not Errol Marks. But when we come back, we will have my first time interviewing Ryan Spaeder. And Speedy, your third, fourth time?
Fourth.
All right.
Fourth time he's been on the show.
The ace of Spaeders.com, our friend Ryan Spaeder. But first, our Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops.
This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. It is not the top of the hour, but it is the Loudmouth Sports Minute with Tommy Scoops. And jumping over into the NFL, new Steelers backup QB Justin Fields took advantage of first-team reps today at practice, as starting QB Russell Wilson missed team's training camp practice today with a tight calf, as Fields said he was excited and to take advantage of each rep and is looking forward to tomorrow's practice. In other NFL news, Bills veteran linebacker Von Miller said he probably should not have played last season. Miller, who was coming off of a 2022 torn ACL, was not happy with his no starts and no sacks performance last season, but said he is fully healthy and looking forward to making some noise next season. As lastly, over in the NBA, son of NBA legend Carmelo Anthony, Keon Anthony, announces he has narrowed his list of school offers. Anthony announced on Twitter that he will be choosing from 6 colleges such as Auburn, Syracuse, Florida State, Ohio State, USC, Rutgers to continue his basketball career. And over in Scoops and Scores right now, with their only game over in the MLB, the Mets and Braves are currently tied at 2 apiece, heading into the bottom of the 8th, with the Athletics and Angels set to start at 9:38. But that is all the time I have for you guys right now. Kicking it back to the boys for the next guest on the Sports Loudmouth.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Willie Whopper, Speedy. Willie Whopper. Spanking. What's wrong with you? I want you to slide it right in. Who is that guy? Who's that guy? This is great. My name is Mike Doristay, and you can call us at 631-672-3108. And by the way, I know Ryan's probably looking at me and saying, well, who the hell's Mike? Well, I'm Mike. I'm Mike Doristay. My real name. I'm Errol. Well, I was Errol. Now I'm not. Whatever. Mike Doristay, Speedy Petey, 631-672-3108. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Oh, man, Ryan's back, ladies and gentlemen. First time for me, third or fourth time for Speedy. Very happy to have him on the show. We're now talking to analyst and statistician of the ace of Spaeders.com, Ryan Spaeder. Ryan, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas? Hold on. You're throwing me off here because I've definitely talked to you before. What the hell's going on?
I don't know. Who are you? I mean, this is the first time. This is the first. I've heard a lot of great things about you. How are you, man?
Good, man. What's going on with you guys?
Well,
I hear we're just talking some smack on Penn State. Wonderful. Great way to kick it off.
Well, what could I say? I only brought up Penn State because I think that's the way the Jets treat Aaron Rodgers. I mean, seriously, it's a lot of kissing ass and doing whatever he wants. He might as well get ready and line up and get on your hands and knees and give him a nice kissy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, what's he got? 3 plays and they're kissing his ass up and down. 3 plays for the team so far.
I'm a Jet fan, and the Jet fans all over social media think that this is our. Yeah, I think the Jets, if he stays healthy, the Jets win 11 or 12 games if he stays healthy. Is he going to stay healthy? That's the question. And by the way, Robert Saleh, it's yet to be seen that this guy is a winning coach. The guy has never won. He doesn't even have a winning record as a head coach for the New York Jets. So until he proves that and stop taking receipts, I don't believe anything he says when it comes to the press or whatever he says on these podcasts, which are absolutely ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Rodgers goes, though, I think he's projected pretty well. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about coaches. It kind of makes me just jump right to baseball. I mean, look at all these new coaches, guys who's never coached in the league before, and how much success a lot of these guys are having. I think there's been a major disappointment with Craig Counsell with the Cubs, who had the richest contract for a manager up until I think Cora signed that extension yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yep.
But you got all kinds of brand new managers. Stephen Vogt comes to mind, who are having a lot of success without any experience. So, you know, it's a new game across all 4 major sports, I think.
Yeah, the Brewers current new manager, rookie guy too. They just hired him as their bench coach, and now he's leading the division. And Craig Counsell's in last place.
How about Mendoza, who the Mets decided to go with over Craig Counsell? And everybody keeps saying that the Mets were interested in Craig Counsell. Everything that I've read, David Stearns was never interested in Craig Counsell. That's what I heard. Okay, he was never offering Craig Counsell the contract that the Cubs were offering him. That Mendoza was also one of the top 3 guys on his list. So until proven otherwise, David Stearns says that Counsell wasn't even the guy that he was interested in landing. And Mendoza's been sensational for the Mets. You have to give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Mets going right now. I am curious though with Counsell signing the deal and then Cruz, Cora signing that extension. If we're kind of getting to that sort of slipping point, that slippery slope, where all of a sudden you're going to see some mega contracts going to managers. that we previously hadn't seen. I mean, previously managers were relatively receiving pretty low salaries as far as being a manager of a big league ball club versus some of the other major sports. I mean, you got college football coaches making a lot more than Major League Baseball managers, which blows my mind. But I think the tides are turning there, and a lot of these managers are going to start getting theirs.
Well, it's a split sample right now. If you're judging Alex Cora, like an overperforming Red Sox team that was probably thought of to be last place by most people, maybe fourth, but never expected to be this good. And then the Cubs, on the other hand, which most people thought was at least second in the division.
I mean, yeah, Cubs have been awful. I think what we're seeing from the speaking of that division, what we're seeing out of the Central, and I think it frustrates probably a lot of Pirate fans and a lot of baseball fans in general, is, I mean, we're seeing exactly what we expected from Paul Skeens. He's every bit of the pitcher that everybody thought he was. And it just makes you wonder, like, I mean, you're 52-50, you're 7 games out of first place. You're right there in the wild card hunt. Why wasn't this guy up from the beginning? It certainly could have bolstered that rotation from the get-go and helped them get off to, I mean, they got off to a good start, but helped them maintain that start. And, now they're playing from behind.
By the way, we are talking to analyst and statistician, the ace of Spaeders.com, Ryan Spaeder. First time I'm ever interviewing. My name is Mike Darstay. So if anybody doesn't know me, I'm a new guy on this radio show. We're happy to be here filling in for, what's his name again?
Oh, that guy, Errol Marks, who's apparently wanted in the Wild West in the 19th.
I'm going to have to get this story at some point. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Believe me, it's just it just started 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, so like that.
Is this like when you were in high school or college and you had one of those jobs at like a Subway or something and you forgot your name tag, so you got to wear somebody else's for a day?
Pretty much. That's a good way of putting it, except with a Wild West twist.
Well, that's a good picture. I like that, Fish. Our executive producer, Mr. Aaron Fishman, really doing all the graphics that he posts up. So if you're a fan of what he does, you can definitely check him out on social media and all the stuff that he does for us. It's fantastic. But
it's good for both of us.
It's good for both of us. I don't know who both of us is, but who is that, Speedy? Who was speaking of?
I don't know. This mysterious soundboard that's in the futuristic version of a saloon.
Oh, there you go.
Willy Whoppers, Speedy. Willy Whoppers.
And that must be the burger that's sold.
It's funny. I always thought, can you pull that graphic back up a second? It's just a stupid aside, but I've always thought that those posters are hilarious. It says "Want it, dead or alive," and it's like, what if you're the kind of guy who just like, want it dead, and you kill, and then you're like, oh, or alive. Oh shoot, I didn't have to kill the son of a bitch.
Somebody, he's grabbing his tits. I don't know why he's doing that, Speedy.
Yeah,
I don't know who would ever do such a thing.
Anyways, Ryan, a lot of Yankee fans are going like they're hiding under a rock because they just got swept by the Mets both times. And I as a Yankee fan, I don't really care. It all matters what happens in the playoffs. And right now, the Mets are fighting for a wild card. The Yankees right now are in a very good position. They're only 2 games behind the Baltimore Orioles. They're not playing well. They're 4-6 out of the last 10 games. So is the Boston Red Sox. This whole division hasn't played well, except Tampa in the last 10 games. They're 6-4. And the Yankees differential, their plus differential is still the highest in the American League. Are you worried about the Yankees right now?
Well, I mean, before we even get to the Yankees, I'm going to have to touch on the fact that the Yankees have different baseballs than every other team. I stand by that, as I've stood by that since the first time I've talked to you guys. I still think they're pumping different baseballs so that Aaron Judge can always challenge that 60 and like Major League Baseball wants that 73 mark. But I digress. I don't think the Yankees have anything to worry about other than their cleanup hitter. You can't be putting J.D. Davis after Aaron Judge. And if that's the lineup you're going to run out with, Aaron Judge has to be batting leadoff. You got to hit that man leadoff and then go Juan Soto afterwards. I've said the same thing. I mean, I remember, I guess I'd like to think that I was wise beyond my years, but being, 14, 15, 16 years old, just begging the Giants to bat Barry Bonds leadoff. I remember doing the math even as a kid. You're a leadoff hitter, and you're going to generally get 30 36 to 39 more plate appearances per year than the same guy batting third. And, you're like, 36 to 39 plate appearances. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that's 8.5 games worth of plate appearances for your best player on the team. And you're also ensuring that your best player on the team is giving you an opportunity to take a 1-0 lead, or if you're a home team, give you 1 run, ensuring that he is going to see pitches every single time. Now, you've seen the Phillies have some success with it with Kyle Schwarber. I actually don't think Kyle Schwarber is the best option for them. I think Bryce Harper should be batting leadoff there. I like either Juan Soto or Aaron Judge to bat leadoff there, but I think that in the case of Aaron Judge, he's the one who you want to make sure is at least seeing a pitch to hit 1 plate appearance per game. I think, the Mets the other day really took advantage of it. He didn't see anything, and I think he swung at maybe 2 pitches, and both of them were out of the zone or close to it. And he's sort of getting that Bonds treatment that we once saw, where he's seeing maybe 1 pitch to hit per game. So if I'm the Yankees, if I'm Aaron Boone, I'm going to go ahead and slot Aaron Judge lead off and see how that goes. I think he's done it before too, hasn't he?
Aaron Judge has done it at least in 2022. I remember when he won the MVP, where there was some stretches he was sitting lead off. I think that was, like you were saying, because of the home run chase. He's mostly a 2-hitter his whole career, but he's definitely done it. Yes, I wanted to mention too, like Juan Soto, the sweepstakes with him. There's going to be a lot of teams going after it. We've heard that Scott Boras is going to start the contract no more at $550, and now a lot of people believe
he's
that
going to be a Met. Stop
he's
it.
going to leave.
He's going to be a Met.
What are your thoughts to where they think he can go and how high it gets?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because you saw what Ohtani got, and obviously there's a premium there that you're paying. There's multiple premiums you're paying because, one, the guy can pitch. Now, he's not pitching this season, but he's also a quote-unquote phenom simply by the fact that he comes from Japan, and us as Americans, we're stupid. We're fascinated with anything that's shiny and new, anything from a different country. It's funny because you're going to go ahead and see baseball writers, BBWAA, which I've trashed on this very show a number of times. You're going to go ahead and see BBWAA.
By the way, I heard about this. I wasn't here, so I heard that about you. You were fantastic. I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely believe half the executives and all the GMs, they're all retarded.
Well, you're going to go ahead and see BBWAA pumping this guy with MVP votes, and they're not going to go ahead and deduct from his season, if you will, the fact that he's a DH. Whereas, I mean, they were holding it against guys like Edgar Martinez from getting in the Hall of Fame. They didn't hold it against David Ortiz because he was so popular, but it's like they pick and choose who to hold the fact that you're a DH against. If you go ahead and look at David Ortiz, I think his final season, he probably could have been the MVP, but they're like, he's a DH, can't be an MVP. But they're not going to go ahead and hold that against Shohei Ohtani because, he's a pitcher, even though he's not pitching this year. And plus, he's from Japan, so that's cool. That's different.
Yeah, I think that season was the Trout Altuve Betts MVP race in the American League that was so tight. So it was going to be very hard for him to get it anyway.
I'm just now you guys got me super curious. I'm trying to look at what Aaron Judge.
This is their first time with the graphics. I think the last time we had you on, you were on the phone.
We didn't have an executive producer at the time.
And you were on the phone. You were coaching something last time we had you on.
Look at this. So Aaron Judge batted leadoff 36 times, right?
Okay.
In those 36 games, he's 352, 466, 711 with 13 home runs in 36 games, 35 runs scored. And then if you go ahead and look at how he performs as the first batter of the game, 344, 400, 781. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
and I'm sold. I'm betting this guy.
Why doesn't somebody like the Yankees hire you to be the statistician? Because
I'm blackballed from Major League Baseball at this point.
I know that.
I tried with the outing of the cheating, and I just recently ruffled some feathers on Twitter because I let baseball fans know. I was like, guys, I know a lot of you are going to be butthurt about this, but most of your favorite players voted for Donald Trump. So, I'm sorry about that. And, but fans like to live in this fantasy world. Like every baseball player thinks exactly like them. It's just not the case. You're not going to, just like anybody else, you're not going to get along with every little thing. And I hate the fact that, if Taylor Walls goes ahead and does a little dance on second base, we're going to be like, oh, you're a 155 hitter. Who cares? You're a terrible player and you're an awful person. And like, who the hell gives a shit?
Well, obviously other people do. I don't care. I just want to see a good baseball game.
I think they just think they're supposed to care. I think that's what it comes down to.
Well, everybody likes to move into politics and religion and music when it comes to sports, because LeBron James has done it many, many different times, and all these superstars. And by the way, we haven't spoken to you since the Shohei Ohtani thing. Now, honestly, do you not believe that Shohei Ohtani had something to do with all that betting stuff?
Honestly, I've got to go strictly opinion, and this is another thing I ruffled feathers with. I do not believe what was said. I do not believe he was entirely ignorant. I think there's one of a few things that happened. I'm not going to get too into depth on those because this is recorded. I'll tell you guys offline what I think potentially happened, but I don't think that it was the way that we were told. And then for the people who say, well, the feds got involved and what do they care about protecting a baseball player? Well, you have to keep in mind that Shohei Ohtani comes from a different country. As we said, he's from Japan, and Japan does not mess around when it comes to their optics at all. Japan is one of the most conservative countries in the world. They do not mess around when it comes to optics, and I just think it's a little peculiar that just before this came out, Shohei Ohtani got married to one of the biggest Japanese females in that country. He, comes out with this dog named Decoy. What the hell is that? And we're finding all this personal stuff out about him. Nobody even knew he had a girlfriend or he was seeing anybody at this time. And my contention, I think that something happened. I think that the Japanese government got wind of it, and I think that they got involved. And if somebody's going to go ahead and ask, why would the feds protect a baseball player? Why do they care? Well, if, an ally's government gets involved, you're potentially going to be more willing to do a favor. And I truly believe that it probably was something like that. Now, again, this is just my opinion, speculation. I can't say for sure. But what is it? I think people tend to gravitate towards the Occam's razor. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You don't have to. It doesn't matter. My name is Mike Dorsey, and I like to be honest with it, and I'm going to speak for you. Okay, I'm speaking for Ryan Spaeder. He thinks it was all bullcrap. Okay, we all believe that Mr. Ohtani had something to do with that sports betting, and he was protected, and the FBI was paid off by the league and the Japanese government. That's what I believe. The FBI got some mucho dinero to cover their mouths and keep their mouths shut. That's what I think, and that's what I know. Okay,
I think it's less. I don't think there was any payoff. I think it's more. One government getting involved with another government. That's my opinion. I can't say again, I know for sure, but throughout, just to throw a little bit of shade, I don't know if you guys noticed throughout the whole thing, I was every single time something got released about it, I just would tweet out the Japanese government flag.
By the way, I'm very upset.
I did see some of those. Yeah.
I mean, I know my maiden name is Mike Dorsey, but you don't follow. What's his name again?
Oh, that Errol Marks guy.
Errol Marks guy. What's going on with that, man?
I don't know.
I'm very upset at you. I mean, I'm trying to be friendly here. You're just not being friendly here.
I got to tell you, I generally don't get down with people who have two first names, but when it comes to somebody whose last name is a first name and their first name is a last name, I don't know about all that.
That's very upsetting that you don't follow. What's his name again?
Oh, that Errol Marks guy. I think you can see his Twitter handle in the white there.
What's going on here, man? You don't follow that guy? I mean, look at those breasts. I mean, they look voluptuous.
There
They
you
look
go.
voluptuous. But anyways, we are talking to analyst and statistician, the ace of Spaeder.com. Go check it out. It is fantastic. Ryan Spaeder, this is one of the best statisticians in the business. As you can see, all the followers that are following him right on X. He is as good as it gets. You know, Ryan, we look at the MLB and the transition of this season, and we look at what the Astros have done this year. They were as bad as you could be in the beginning of the season. And really the last 4 or 5 weeks till the All-Star break, they got very, very hot. Now they're in first place in a very weak division. Do you think that the Astros are for real this year? Do you think that they're a contender again going into, going into the playoffs?
Absolutely. I mean, it was inevitable. I work with a guy who's a huge Astros fan, and he's panicking early in the season. And I was like, dude, they're going to be there in the end. Don't worry about it. Happened a lot faster than I expected. They're a really good ball club. They're always going to be there. The one concern that I do have is I'm sure we talked about it at some point, but my pal Lance McCullers Jr., he kind of it seems like his nagging injuries keep on coming up as he tries to rehab and fix himself. And it's a real shame because he's a great pitcher, absolute fantastic stuff. He's been working on a sinker. So I'm really hoping he can get out there soon and contribute to that team. But, he had a setback, I think, 2 weeks ago. He's getting ready to resume throwing now. They did, I think, an MRI on him. He had no additional structural damage. So I think maybe it's just a matter of getting the arm back in shape. And I'd look for him to be sort of like, you guys remember years ago where they would have those, actually Justin Verlander's an example where they'd have that trade. Somebody makes it through waivers. They'd have that trade.
Yes. The waiver
right
trade
at the end of August. I'd look for McCullers to be in there in September, help that team make a push, and I think they're going to be dangerous. Look at the experience that they have up and down that lineup and in that rotation. So yeah, I think they'll be dangerous in the postseason.
So your Philadelphia Phillies, they've been playing great all season. What are your thoughts the way they have? And if there's any weakness that you would be worried about them in the playoffs and maybe to address the trade deadline, what would it be for them?
Yeah. So in a perfect world, Brett Rooker is actually a good outfielder, which he's not. I would love to see him play for the Phillies, especially after he destroyed them in their own ballpark with Lawrence Butler, who's just been absolutely incredible. Dude came out of nowhere. Two players actually now, because I'd like to go off on tangents, that I've been really impressed with, Lawrence Butler and Xavier Edwards of the Marlins. Just kind of came out of nowhere. They're playing great ball. Both of them can hit. Xavier Edwards is a little bit soft on the bat, but he puts the ball in play and he's putting it where they're not, sort of in a Luis Ariz style. But I would love to see Rooker, but I don't think it's going to happen simply because he doesn't fit. He can't DH with this team. You can't put Kyle Schwarber in the field every single day. I think most Phillies fans who aren't necessarily fully in tune with the fact that, the guy has to fit in the field with this team, want Mason Miller and Rooker, and they're willing to give up just about anything for him. It would sure look great on paper, but then you get them in the field, it's probably going to be messy. I don't think they're going to end up with either one of those guys. I think they're going to go for Tanner Scott of the Marlins and then probably a smaller piece in the outfield. I'm thinking maybe like they'll find trade partners with the Angels again. You might see Taylor Ward here. Taylor Ward.
Yes.
And then you got a strong platoon with Brandon Marsh. Ward can mash against lefties. Marsh has been really good against righties all season. As far as their weakness goes, though, definitely that outfield. Fortunately, Castellanos has been on fire. He's playing great ball. Continues to hit home runs every single time something tragic happens or whatever. So he's been playing great ball, helping out that outfield. But then other than that, I think they're probably one bullpen piece away.
Ryan, we're going into the second half, and we're wondering who's going to make the playoffs, and there could be a lot of surprises. It could get really, really close moving forward with how many games left now? Probably around 60 games left of some kind. So is there any surprises? Last year we had Arizona and Texas, 2 surprises go to the World Series. Are there any surprises that you could see this year that out of nowhere could go to the World Series?
Ooh, go to the World Series. I think if the biggest surprise you could potentially see is if the Pirates can eke in, you're going to be looking at some really, really good starting pitching in those series. You're going to have Skeens. You're going to have Jared Jones. The only problem is that they're somebody who could definitely use Rooker. Their offense is silent all the time, other than Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz, Andrew McCutchen. He's having a decent season when you look at the numbers. His power's way down, but when you look at how he's performing in high leverage situations, it's just not good. I don't know if he should be batting leadoff for that team game after game. And then other than that, their offense is not that good. I really like Nick Gonzalez, but he just doesn't really get on base. So they could definitely use like a Rooker if they're going to make a push. They're only a game and a half out of the wild card right now. And again, I really think the team screwed up by not having Skeens on the opening day roster. But other than them in the National League, Padres are in position. I heard some rumblings about them potentially moving on Skubal. I think that would be incredible. You're going to have to give up a lot for him, obviously. But the Padres, they're going to get back Fernando Tatis, and you're not going to see very many teams trade for a piece that's going to be as significant as a Fernando Tatis. Now, obviously, they're not trading for him, but they're going to get him back. And he's going to be performing at that Fernando Tatis level. So the Padres, 5 games over 500 right now in a wild card position. And they're poised to make a move. I don't think they're going to move on the Dodgers, but they're definitely poised to make a move come postseason time.
So one of the big conflicts we saw throughout this season has been Tony Clark taking shots.
Oh, hold on. One other real quick.
Okay.
Mariners are not going to finish above 500. Just
wow. Wow. Yeah, their offense has been pitiful, so they got to find something.
All right, go ahead. Tony Clark, though, because we know I love trashing him too. So
yes, yeah, I was going to ask about the whole conflict. Oh, he's taking shots at the pitch clock and all these other rules of the pitching injury. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think he's just doing his honestly, and I hate to be the one to stick up for him now after I just said that, but I think he's just doing his right by the players, or what he thinks is right by the players. I don't think that the pitch clock's causing any injuries. I don't care for the pitch clock. I don't care for all these stupid rules that make a baseball game 17 minutes shorter or 12 minutes shorter. It's nonsense to me, but the guys have adapted, and I don't really notice it in the gameplay. If somebody says that they notice it, I guess maybe it's not something I notice at all when I'm playing, unless there's an automatic strike or an automatic ball, which just sends me into a rage. I can't stand that nonsense, especially if the guy's out or sends him on to first base. It's just complete nonsense. We saw one walk-off. I want to say it was the Rockies were I can't remember who they were playing because I lost a bet.
It's not surprising if the Rockies were to be the ones that screw that up, though.
Yeah, the Rockies were the ones who screwed it. You know what? I lied to you. It was the Nationals screwed it up against the Rockies.
Oh, wow.
Finnegan had a pitch clock called on him with 3 balls and the bases loaded, and it was a walk-off automatic walk. Complete BS. Can't stand the rule. It seems like it's here to stay. I don't see.
Wait till they can challenge balls and strikes. That's coming soon, apparently, too.
Say again?
Apparently, they're going to want to challenge balls and strikes soon, apparently.
I mean, I'd rather that than changing the game completely. I mean, I really, really don't like the limited throwovers. I think that's trash. It's so much easier to steal bases now, and everybody's, last year was revering Acuna for what he did, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but there's some guys who probably would have been 30, 70, 40, 70 had they had these rules in place back in the day. I mean, I think it was Brett Boone, who's somebody has become a pretty good friend of mine. I think it was Brett Boone who said, dude, Ricky Henderson would have probably had 2,200 stolen bases with these rules, and I don't doubt it.
Ryan, what's going on? It's Errol. I'm back again.
I don't know. Your name hasn't changed.
What happened? What happened? What have I missed?
He was talking about some of the controversial rule changes and the stolen base rule, which elevated Acuna's season last year.
So I just missed this.
That was Mike.
I don't know what the hell happened, but Loreno apparently just got caught stealing home to make the last out of the top of the 10th, and now the Mets are going to have a chance to win it in the bottom of the 10th, 2-2 tie.
Well, let's be honest here. If you look at the Mets right now, they're fighting for their dear life to make the playoffs. I think the Mets could make the playoffs. I think they're going to fall short. I do think that the National League is going to be tough with St. Louis playing pretty good baseball, Milwaukee. I do believe that the San Diego Padres are definitely, and I still think Arizona could make the playoffs too. What they did last year was remarkable. I think they're a very well managed team, and they have a tremendous amount of youngsters and great outfield too. So my final question to you is, you look at the league right now and some of the growth of the superstar players. We mentioned a bunch of them already. Is there a particular superstar that you're looking forward to seeing that is not called up yet? Or do you believe there's a superstar in the league that's going to be the next big thing in the next 2 to 3 years?
Oh, man. So just basically take any frat boy from the Orioles. I think they got Mayo, who's a potential trading piece for them. I think it has a lot of teams. He has a lot of teams salivating for in terms of his potential future value and the lack of value, which is strange to say, that he has to the Orioles just because of how stacked they are and how stacked their farm system is. I think we're really seeing Bobby Witt Jr. come into his own. He's been absolutely on fire since the return of the All-Star break. He's another dude who could potentially do that. Acuna, 40, 70 year. I mean, I look at him as a potential 50-50 guy, and he's phenomenal with the glove. Ellie De La Cruz has been a lot of fun. As far as Phillies go, I really am looking forward to seeing what Aiden Miller can do in the coming years. He has not disappointed at any level so far. And another thing that,
how about that kid Jones on the Yankees?
That's what I was just going to say. Spencer Jones.
Everybody loves him.
I think that we're going to be in a situation. It seems like this always happens with the Yankees. They have these highly touted prospects, and they just become less and less touted until you get Yankees fans like, oh, we'll give you Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar for Max Scherzer. They're Yankee fans trying to unload their talent. That didn't pan out. And
Brian, we had a bunch of people that have told us, even one guy that has coached against Jones, Spencer Jones, and he told us that the Yankees better not trade this kid, that this kid is the real deal. This guy is going to be one of the better hitters in the league when he gets called up. Do you believe that?
Man. You know what? I would defer you guys to my pal Jack Fritz, who hosts a show on WIP in Philly. He's my minor league guy. He's phenomenal when it comes to the minor league stuff. So I would defer to him. But I guess history scares me when it comes to the Yankees and their prospects. So don't put me on the spot when it comes to Spencer Jones. I don't know, man. Then they also have that kid George Lombardi too, and
he's good too. Yeah, they say.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers look good, but I look at him, he's like a string bean. Like this kid needs to have like a cupcake or something.
Oh, Snot, get on it. Send George Lombardi some cupcakes.
And we need some cupcakes here.
You have your first client.
I think Ryan needs a cupcake. What's going on with your hair over there? What's going on over there?
I haven't cut it in a while, man.
I mean, what are you trying to do?
He's trying to grow it out like all the Orioles players, clearly.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it to the Orioles. No, you know what? I skipped a haircut. I usually, because I was in the military, I got my haircut every week. And
Dude,
then
you look like you skipped about 20 haircuts.
Yeah, well, when I got out, I started doing it every 2 weeks, and I missed one, and then I missed another one after that because I was away. And I was like, I'm going to grow it out for a while. And at this point, I freaking hate it. But I told my friend that I would grow it out all season, and then I'm going to cut it into a mullet for the Phillies postseason, and I'm going to have a playoff mullet. So you
got Philadelphia winning the World Series?
We'll see. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of all this. We're going to go with a nice playoff mullet.
It's funny. I mentioned the Orioles hairstyle because my World Series pick was actually the Phillies and the Orioles. So
that would be something.
That would be funny. You have the Orioles hairstyle was a Phillies.
And yeah, we are just talking about Brett Rooker. Of course, he just hit a big fly.
There you go.
There you go. Future Philadelphia Philly, if they could try to figure out how to make him play the field.
Listen, they have a manager that is a Yankee, and that's all that matters to me. So I root the Philadelphia Phillies on if the Yankees aren't in it because I love Thompson, and he's a Yankee, baby. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But Ryan, we really appreciate the time. Ryan, you gotta follow. I want to, we can interact with one another. Very happy to have you on the show. I think you're one of the better guests that we've had on the show, and me and you agree with a lot of things. So I think. Your personality really stands out, and I definitely want to get you on the show very, very soon before the playoffs and get your takes on who you think is going to win the World Series.
All right. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. I appreciate the kind words, too. I love talking with you guys. The only thing that's a pain in the ass is normally when I do radio, I don't have to show my ugly mug, and I can just talk on the phone.
Oh, stop.
I got to get on this damn screen with you. I'm still redoing my office, and I'm sitting in my basement here. So I don't have any fancy background or anything like that. Maybe I can get your studio guy to hook me up with a background next time.
You're an idiot.
Now you know how I feel.
Oh man, that's pretty funny actually.
You brought the nickname on yourself, so it's all your fault. Nobody else inflicted it. And then you tried to confuse.
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
And then you tried to confuse Ryan the entire first 10 minutes of
confuse
this.
what? I don't know.
The name.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm like, wait a second. Dude with one of the most recognizable voices that I've ever done shit, dude. I've done MLB Network and national radio shows, and one of the most recognizable voices I've ever heard. And he's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I've never done a show with them," and as if I had just gotten in and I'm just tuning in. I don't know what the hell the bit is. I'm lost here. I'm like, wait a second. I don't think I was that drunk.
I don't think anyone really knows.
That's why I love you, Ryan. That's why I love you, man. We like I said, follow me. We'll be in touch. I definitely will reach out to you on social media on X because that's what that's the only thing I'm on. So, but we'll be in touch, buddy.
All right, great. I'll talk to you guys. Be good.
Ryan Spaeder, fantastic as always. Great take, statistician, one of the best in the business. Guys, go check him out. The Ace of Spaders, the Ace ACE of OF. Spaeder, SPAEDER.com. So check him out. He is fantastic. Great personality. Knows his stuff.
By the way, Ryan, but whoever just came into the game for the Braves, he's trying to grow your hair out. So,
wait, say again.
The Pierce Johnson, I think, is the guy in for the Braves right now. He's trying to grow his hair out like you are too.
Oh.
It looks like the Braves are they out of it? Oh, that's 2 outs.
2 outs. Mets have a winning run on second.
Yeah. Well, hold on. How about this? So I had Lawrence Butler, who I was talking about, to have 2 total bases tonight, and he leads off at the double. And I had Rooker to also Rooker to have a home run. And 2 batters later, Rooker went ahead and hit Butler in. So there you go.
Oh, you do some betting too, Ryan. You gotta get on board with our new partnership.
Bovada, you hit our QR code, 100% on the first deposit. That means if you put $100 down, you get $200. So you have a chance to win some more money. All you have to do is bet almost anything, like the presidential election. I mean, if you're a big president fan, I don't know. You can withdraw on your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, anything. No limitations on what state you are in. You could bet anywhere. So DraftKings, FanDuel, you have to bet in a state where obviously it's legal. You can bet in any state, even if it's not legal. So Bovada, hit our QR code right there, and you have a chance to win some money. So there you go.
And Jeff McNeil walks it off with Ryan's hair as well.
There you go. So the Mets win again. So the Mets are hot right now. So I know Josh is probably doing something in his pants. What do you think, Speedy?
Definitely possible.
Okay. Why don't you help him out later?
I'm not going to do that.
All right.
Whatever Josh does in his pants is up to him.
Ryan's probably like, what are you guys talking about? Ryan, thank you, buddy.
Take it easy, guys.
I love Ryan. He knows our humor. A little crazy, a little nutty, I'm a little nutty. I mean,
yeah, I think a little might be an understatement tonight.
Well, what's going on? I
don't know. Oh, we went through a whole different name for the first hour, 2 hours.
What are you talking about? What do you got? What are you talking about?
Apparently,
What's
you
wrong
did a instant teleportation in your house that I didn't realize. You come back as somebody
Who's this guy
else.
over here? Who's this guy over here? I don't know. Who he is.
I don't know.
Is this
Maybe
what
there's
they
a third guy.
Is
Maybe
this what
that's a
they
new-
call Mike Doris Day? What is this?
Maybe there's a third guy we don't know.
I mean, somebody's grabbing his tits or something. I mean, Speedy, you like to grab those.
I do not. So
You
I don't
like
know
to
where
grab
you.
those
I don't know
things?
where you got that from.
Oh,
But
listen, somebody's got to grab them, right?
nobody has to grab anything.
You don't like to grab things?
Nobody has to grab anything.
You don't want to grab my tits?
No,
You grabbed his.
I didn't grab anyone's tits.
Episode 4 of Hard Knocks revealed that the Giants were all in on Malik Neighbors, even if Marvin Harrison Jr. was still on the board. Both wide receivers, coach Mike Rowe and John Mara liked Neighbors as a prospect more than Harris. Nick Saban also told Brian Daboll that Neighbors is a problem and influenced the Giants to draft him no matter what. It was revealed that Joe Shane's son was encouraging the Giants to trade up to draft Jaden Daniels. It was revealed that Brian Daboll was enamored with both Daniels and Drake May, but couldn't find a trade partner. Saquon Barkley was also blindsided by the fact that his call was recorded by Joe Shane. Fox Sports' Nick Wright also said he doesn't think that Saquon Barkley will be a difference maker for the Eagles. The Giants say that Daniel Jones is on track to be ready for week 1 and took reps with the starters at training camp. First of all, it's hard to believe that if Marvin Harrison Jr. was on the board, they weren't going to draft him. I don't believe it, okay? And that's the crazy thing when it comes to Hard Knocks, because the Giants could actually pick and choose, just like what the Jets did the year before,
right?
What could be on the video feed. And if I was Saquon Barkley, I wouldn't be happy at the Giants either, because to me, you've been a good Samaritan to the New York Giants organization. You were there. You were a big part of the growth of some of these years for some of the young players. You helped Daniel Jones develop. And then the Giants threw you under the bus because Joe Shane knew that he wasn't going to bring you back to the organization. And that's why he wanted to record it on national television, stating that go to any team, reach out to any team, and we will try to match. Just make sure that you come reach back to us and see if we can match it. And then he threw Saquon Barkley under the bus by pretty much saying we offered Saquon Barkley practically the same contract the year before, and he wouldn't take it. Okay, Joe Shane has really looked bad throughout this Hard Knocks, these last couple of episodes. And honestly, if I'm a Giant fan, I would not be happy what I've been seeing, behind closed doors with the New York Giants organization, because you could see they're not working. They're not running on all cylinders. Do you really believe that John Mara and Steve Tisch wanted Saquon Barkley to go to the Eagles? Do you believe that John Mara wanted Saquon Barkley not to sign with the New York Giants? I believe John Mara thought that Joe Shane was going to figure it out, and Joe Shane thought he was going to get Saquon Barkley on the cheap. That's what I believe. I think that he was searching and he was digging, and he knew that it was either a hit or miss. If they can get Saquon Barkley for a little bit less, they'll bring him back. If they don't, they'll hide it. They'll make it seem like it was Saquon Barkley's fault. And just like Tiki Barber, because he's very close with Joe Shane and the Giants organization, because he was a Giant, he wanted to throw Saquon Barkley under the bus because he went to the Eagles. If I was Saquon Barkley, I would have taken him the most money. I have no idea, and I'm going to repeat myself, I have no idea why the Giants organization thought that Saquon Barkley wasn't going to be a big piece moving forward this coming season with Malik Neighbors. You added a weapon to lose a weapon. Does that make any sense? And here's another thing. I like Nick Saban, okay? I think he's a great coach. Why would you go to Nick Saban and ask Nick Saban about Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. when he didn't coach those guys?
Or didn't play against Harrison.
And didn't play against Harrison Jr. either. So how would you know who was better? How would you know? Now, Malik Neighbors is a good player. There's no question that he is. I think he's going to be a star in the league. I would even probably say he's a top 10 wide receiver this year. I think he could be that. I think he's that explosive. But what are the Giants going to do if he's the only option that they have? This has been Saquon Barkley's livelihood, okay? He has been a Giant for how many years? 5 years? He's been injured for 2 out of the 5. If you look at Saquon Barkley's years, there's not been a number 1 wide receiver. He's never played with a number one receiver. When he came in, Odell Beckham was gone. So they've had no other weapon to play with him. So do you blame Saquon Barkley on not taking the contract that was offered him the year before when he thinks that he's worth more and he's been a better optional player for the New York Giants over the last 5 years since Odell Beckham has fled and gone to the Browns and now playing for another organization? I think that if you look at the Giants organization right now, and I have not watched these episodes, and I'm looking forward to seeing these episodes when I get a chance. I was going to watch it today. I've been very, very busy. But Brian Daboll, watching, the first 2 episodes, Brian Daboll is a shell of what I believed he was going to be as a head coach when he went to the New York Giants. His first year was really hidden because of all the teams, the easy schedule that the New York Giants had. They did beat Minnesota in the playoffs. There's no question, but Minnesota should never have been where they were. Minnesota was not a very good team. The fact that they had 11 or 12 wins was a surprise, but who did they beat? They didn't beat many good teams, and they barely beat them. They beat them by like 3 or less points or 4 less points in practically all their games. The Minnesota Vikings were not a good team that year, and that's why the Giants beat them in the playoffs. The Giants weren't a good team either. So the interesting part of the 2 episodes that I watched was it was built around Joe Shane. The first 2 episodes were, I don't know what's going on. I didn't watch the 3rd and 4th episode, and let's bring Fish in because he has. I'm pretty much going to predict that the 3rd and 4th episode had a lot of Joe Shane in it too. Am I wrong or right?
It's all about Joe Shane. It's really the show of Joe Shane. They stopped the 4th episode right before the NFL draft starts. So you get to see them go to the pro days in the most recent episode. You get to see how they're thinking with the picks and like all the contingency plans they had. So it looked like they were going to be content. They realized that they weren't going to get up to 3, but they did want to get up to 3 to get either Daniels or May. So you see that in the episode that they would have taken those guys. But once they found that out, that it was going to take way too much equity, I guess, for Shane's language to do it, that they decided to go with either Neighbors or Harrison, whichever one was going to be there. Now,
let me ask you a question. I'm sorry to cut you
ahead.
off. Let me ask you a really good question. I've watched a lot of Hard Knocks. How many seasons have been? 19, 20 seasons of Hard Knocks. 2 of them with the Jets, with Rex Ryan and out last year with Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers. So I watch a lot of Hard Knocks, and I love the show. It's one of my favorite shows. I'm gonna ask you this question. Have you ever seen a Hard Knocks being built around a GM as much as the Giants have built these first 4 episodes around their GM?
Well, no, I think that was the intention. They usually do it in the preseason. So you can't, and I remember like years ago, you would see, the guys get cut that were fringe guys in the NFL, and they've kind of gone away from that. So I guess they're trying new things with Hard Knocks. It is an interesting way to go about it. I find it very fascinating, but I'm like a super nerd about my team as a Giants fan, and I just want to know everything I can about it and how they're doing. I'm not as encouraged as I was going into it about the leadership, unfortunately. Shane is like, there's a scene where he's with his family in his office and his son's telling him who to trade up for. And it's like supposed to be endearing, I guess, but it just comes
How
off
old
weird.
is his son? How old is his son?
He's like a middle schooler or something like that. But
So
it's just like one of
the
the
middle schools. That's what he was doing, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Joe Shane's doing. He's listening to his middle school kid telling him to move up to try to draft Jaden Daniels, and he was trying to do that, by the way. So that makes him look really, really bad.
So it wasn't really a great look. I will say this. I'm still high on Daboll. Daboll, the whole thing they were bringing up about Saban, he worked for Saban and won the national championship with him. So he just literally just asked Saban, who was the hardest people for you to stop running your defense at Alabama? And he said the 2 guys were Neighbors and Brock Bowers. And those were the 2 guys that were going to be the hardest to stop that are coming out. So Daboll immediately, he's not even talking about anyone else. They don't show him talk about Harrison, but they show him like in love with Neighbors immediately. Like he's got that dog in him. And then Shane tries to explain what it means to be a dog.
And you believe that? You're going to tell me right now if Marvin Harrison was on the board right now, you're going to tell me that they don't draft Marvin Harrison? I doubt that.
They have a question. They question his like, are you going to move out here? They ask Harrison when they interview him in the episode, and this is why the episode was really interesting. They ask him, are you going to move out here or with your team? And Harrison's like, no, my people are back out west. You know, I'm just going to come here for the season. And I don't think they like that answer. They didn't like you're not going to come over here and move everybody, your whole family over here. That he was already looking at it like he's branding, he's a corporation, and it's about him first. So they kind of made Harrison look a little less than neighbors, which I guess was probably the intent of the
there were questions with the
direction.
character issues with that as well. Like even before that too, like Marvin Harrison, like with the way he was treated with his father. And we were talking about the whole fanatics thing too, the lawsuit. It seemed like he was distracted a little bit.
Yeah, I think that they definitely tried to at least shape it that way to make the pick of neighbors look so good. But I do like the fact that Shane was he knew what everyone was doing around him in the draft because he offered the pick to everybody. So he was pretty sure that if he traded down, they could still get a Dunze, but they didn't. They just loved neighbors, so they were going to go.
I know the Jets were trying. I know the Jets were trying to move up to get a Dunze. I do believe. I know Joe Douglas won't admit to it, and I know Joe Douglas was happy with getting Olu, and I think every Jet fan should be happy that they got one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. But I think their plan was trying to move up before go to 8 with Atlanta to get a Dunze, and they just couldn't do that. And they knew that Chicago was going to draft him, but that's just me. But Scoop's got some things to say, so I'm going to put him through on his thoughts to the whole neighbors and New York Giants situation.
So I hadn't had the chance to watch the Hard Knocks, like an entire episode of it. Like I said I was going to watch it once it came out, but I've seen clips here and there on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube and all. And I'm definitely going to tune in for like the news from the news coming in more. But my thing is, I want to touch on something that Fisher's mentioned too when talking about the latest episode. I did see in the latest episode of them coming to the draft. Now, Shane was literally sitting in that room and asking his family who he should draft. And like you were saying, Errol, he's asking his middle school son, but it gets worse. He acts like his 3-year-old daughter. Who should I take? He's like, my thing is that I don't know how you could take that seriously. Like, he literally wrote on a piece of paper saying, "Who out of these 3 names, who should I pick?" Now, even if the little girl was out there like spitting facts saying, like, I think you should take Jaden Daniels. He could throw for 4,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. That still shouldn't matter. The fact is that he's asking. There are professionals put in place for this. That we're really letting a little girl decide a college player's decision. Like even Fish mentioned it too. Before bringing up the Hard Knock situation and everything. Yeah, the Saquon move wasn't that great. A lot of questionable offseason moves weren't that great for the Giants and everything. But as a Giants fan, you want to look towards something saying like Errol says all the time, Daniel Jones might likely have a good year this year and he might look like a leader. And he might, after watching all this, it's like, I don't know where the leadership actually goes. I mean, you have your GM here that's so full of himself in certain ways and so nonchalant that like it acts like he's like playing checkers or like he's playing chess. And it's like, he's like, I could do that. Oh, that didn't really work this 2 seasons. You know, I don't really know how like the leadership is going to evolve going into this next season. Like it just doesn't look good.
I agree with you. I think that if you're a Giants fan, you can't like what you see with Joe Shane. I watched the first 2 episodes and I laughed. I couldn't stop laughing. And I feel bad for Saquon because I know Saquon stood very happily as a New York Giant. He already said that he wanted to be a Giant for life. And the Giants practically threw him to the wolves. Go ahead. Joe Shane pretty much told him, go out there and try to find a team that could match what you want and then come back to us and we will see if we can match it. When he already knew he wasn't going to match it. He thanked him before he told him to go. So that pretty much told, and if I was Saquon and I knew that I was going to be, that part of the show was going to be posted up on Giants on that Hard Knocks, I wouldn't be happy because the Giants could air that out. They can cut that out of the video. And they said, you know what? We're going to put that on the video. We're going to put that in Hard Knocks. That's embarrassing, honestly. And again, I think Saquon Barkley is going to mark it on the calendar when he plays the New York Giants because to me, he's got more to prove than the New York Giants do. And I know you're shaking your head and you're looking at it. You know damn well Saquon's going to put up numbers against the Giants. They're going to run. He's going to make sure. And the Eagles are going to love it because they're going to keep handing him the ball. They're going to keep handing him and feeding him and feeding him and feeding him because they want him to kick the you-know-whats out of the New York Giants. And then again, the Giants are going to do and say whatever they want because they're an organization that is very well respected around the league because John Marin, his father, and this is one of the first 6 teams in the NFL, but you cannot be happy on the way your GM has made himself out to look on Hard Knocks, because even Joe Douglas last year, how many times did you see Joe Douglas on that show? How many times? Twice? You saw him twice. You see him speak. They had him in the first episode, and I think the third episode, you saw him a little bit after the draft, how happy he was with Robert Saleh. After that, it was all about the players. Why is this all about Joe Schoen? I don't care about Joe Schoen. As a matter of fact, Joe Schoen's not going to be playing any of the snaps. I want to know what's going on with Daniel Jones. I want to know a little bit about this guy, Malik Neighbors. I want to know how he feels about being a Giant and how he's going to what he stands for as a player when he steps on a football field. I don't think we know that yet. I haven't seen those other 2 episodes, but I haven't heard anything from Malik Neighbors. And here's another thing that really turns me off about the New York Giants. All the Giant fans turn me off because for years, this is an organization that is very well respected and loves to make fun of the New York Jets and how clown of an organization they are. Well, who's the clowns now? Okay, the Jets have always loved to be center stage, and the Giants really like to be a lower stage and really like to be, behind the scenes and show themselves out on the field. What have the Giants shown over the last 3 years? Besides Saquon Barkley, what have they shown? Nothing. They have shown nothing as an organization. And what has Joe Schoen shown, if you're a Giant fan, what he could do in free agency and how he drafts? Nothing. Malik Neighbors is probably the last straw. If this kid doesn't stay healthy this year, or this guy doesn't really produce this year, I mean, I could see he's 1 foot out the door. I cannot see the Giants keeping this guy, especially what you're saying. He's asking his kids who he should draft. That's embarrassing. Okay? Embarrassing.
Yeah, I want to start with this.
No. You go, Speedy. I was just going to pile on, and I don't think it's necessary at this point.
I was going to say about the Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison thing first. I think with that saying, I don't know if it was necessarily as truthful. I kind of agree with Errol. Like, I can't imagine that kind of thing wouldn't happen if Marvin Harrison was still on the board. Now, I don't know if it's realistic either. I think Arizona, the rumor was, all right, they're going to take Neighbors over Harrison.
They're drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. no matter what. I don't care what they say. If he was sitting there and the Giants, if he was there at 5, even if Neighbors was there, they're drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., especially what everybody says about this kid, that this guy is a must hit. There's no way they don't draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't care what anybody says.
I wonder if it's more of the fact of Malik Neighbors, which was thought of as like the 2A or the 1B in this draft. I wonder if maybe that was a confidence booster for that kind of thing. So maybe that's why they ended up saying it in the draft room at the time. Maybe is the only scenario that would make sense. But besides that, I don't think it's realistic. As far as the recording thing, that definitely does look bad, because I think that kind of thing, if you're looking at like teams now, they have the GM, they have executives, they have all these assistants to the executives. Like, they should all be within the room at the same time with Saquon Barkley doing it. Why is it necessary to have a recording? Makes it kind of look silly on their parts too. Daniel Jones, as far as him, like, don't rush him back if he doesn't seem like he's not ready. If he's taking good reps, he's making good throws, fine. But we saw this.
He's got a lot to prove, and he knows that this is a big year for him. And if he wants to be a Giant, he wants to be a starter in this league, this is his year to prove it. And I think he's going to try to get on the field. He doesn't want to lose the job to anybody, including your friend Drew Lock. Okay?
Oh, yeah, my friend Drew Lock.
Yeah, he doesn't want it. I think that he's going to make sure that Drew Lock is not going to start the season as a starting quarterback, because if he has one good game, all the Giant fans are going to be on his back saying,
oh, sure,
he's the starter. I don't want to hear it. I don't think Daniel Jones wants to hear it. He knows he's a better player than Drew Lock is, and it's just ridiculous. I don't think you guys want to see Drew Lock as your starter this year.
No, I don't think anyone wants to see Drew Lock on the field. But I'd rather have kept Tyrod Taylor at that point. But nevertheless,
you want to see
overreaction central.
You want to see if Daniel Jones is your guy, and I do believe that Daniel Jones is your guy. I just think that it's unfortunately that the Mets have not given the Giants have not given him enough weapons to really succeed. It's a shame, it really is. But again, I think that Malik Neighbors is going to be a nice big piece for them. I want to see that some of these youngsters, what's his name again, who they drafted last year? Jaden Hyatt to be the player that they think. I think he's a secondary wide receiver. He's a second string wide receiver. And then we'll see if those guys really produce this year. Maybe this team's a borderline playoff team. The NFC is not very strong. So I wouldn't be surprised if 3 teams in the NFC East make it to the playoffs. So we'll see.
The trajectory has to be for Hyatt to be the number 2 receiver. At least a 2A with Robinson. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere.
He has to be.
My last takeaway My last takeaway, guys. I used to hate when people would make fun of Eli Manning for having like that dumb facial expression and that he was always this aw shucks guy. But Joe Shane is that aw shucks guy. That's who he is. The guy that I always used to hate that they said Eli was. Eli had a lot more character. He used to do practical jokes on people. We've seen it since he's retired. He's a real funny guy. It was not like that he was portrayed. Shane is that guy. I mean, the most awkward scene we didn't even mention. I mean, look, he was trying to come off as cute, playing with his kids, talking about who he was drafting, whatever. But listen, he then goes and explains that Malik Neighbors is a dog, and this is what it means to be a dog in like the most like awkward and cringeworthy way you could. I can't believe they even put it on TV. I don't know. Like, it's not something like the conversation with Saquon's agent. With Saquon, are you going to give us a chance? Are you going to give us a chance that they recorded? It just, I wouldn't want to talk to that guy. I don't know. It's not the guy I thought he was. It's just very awkward. And it's not exactly what we're looking for in leadership.
No,
Sucks,
he seems like he had the process right, but the player relationship stuff has always been flawed with him, and I think that's hurt a lot of the Giants' cases of bringing some of these guys back. They've sealed some of their top guys, but they also made it harder for making the people want to go here.
At least he's not Donnie Walsh with an oxygen machine, in a wheelchair.
Well, he might be. He might be by the time he's done with the New York Giants. He'll never get another job. I'm going to tell you this right now. He better make sure that Malik Neighbors is the real deal, because if he isn't, and Saquon Barkley puts up like 1,800 yards this year, which I believe, I don't care. By the way, who said that Saquon Barkley's not going to have a good season?
Oh, Nick Wright.
I rest my case. Nick Wright. I know Nick Wright, and I met Nick Wright. The one that thinks LeBron James is a much better player than Michael Jordan. Nick, by the way, whatever you're smoking, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're taking, maybe you're popping ecstasy or something.
I think he also said Josh Allen's not a top 5 quarterback.
He's an idiot. He is an idiot. I've been wanting to get Nick on the show. I reached out to him. I gave him my card. He says, absolutely, come on your show. I haven't heard from Nick. Nick doesn't want to come on the show. He knows who I am. If Nick wants to come on the show, I will murder him. I will absolutely eat him up alive. He's on Fox Sports right now, enjoying himself. And Nick, trust me, you do not want to come on the show, because I will eat you up alive on your LeBron James take. I'll eat you up alive on the Saquon Barkley take. You're not going to win this. You're not going to win this argument. And you could say whatever you want. But hey, you know what? I like Nick. I like him as a person. I think he has some pizzazz. But he is absolutely wrong about Saquon Barkley. And I can't wait until Saquon Barkley puts up these numbers that are just absolutely amazing. He will be up for Offensive Player of the Year this year. Remember, I said that. NFL Network reports that all-pro tackle Trent Williams is holding out with the 49ers training camp. Kyle Shanahan said it's because the contract-related issue, just like Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk reported yesterday, but Williams has not yet reported. Williams has 3 more years left on his current contract, making over $20 million per year in all 3 seasons. Williams' guarantee money, however, is all paid out as of 2022 season. Williams has been a first-team All-Pro each of the last 3 seasons. Obviously, with all these new contracts, Trent Williams believes he's worth more. And he's at the tail end of his career. He's 38, 37 years old, and he's still playing at a high level. He knows he's not getting another contract from the 49ers. So he is trying to hold out to say, hey, you know what? Give me another $3-4 million. We'll be happy with that. Me and my agent will be happy with that. And they're not going to budge, because they have to decide what they're doing with Brandon Ayuk. They have other players to pay. I think that the organization has already offered him enough money, enough guarantee money. He's still making $20 million this year. He's still amongst the league's highest paid offensive lineman. I understand how upset he is, and he's still putting up the numbers, and but this is a guy that's 38 years old. How much money do you think you're going to get? And again, you look at Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is a more important player than Trent Williams is now. I'm going to tell you why. And everybody's going to say, what are you, nuts? I'm going to tell you why. Trent Williams in the last 2 seasons, how many times has he gotten hurt? He's gotten hurt a lot. And that's because his ankles, his hands, his wrists, his shoulders, his knees, he's at that age with all the torque on his body where things are going to start to go on him. He's still a great player. There's no question. He's still a fantastic offensive lineman. But the way the 49ers play and the way they like to play, they believe they can do without Trent Williams, as well as they did in the playoffs in certain games. They can still win without Trent Williams. So in their eyes, they can still find a way to win with the talent that they have around them. So I think Brandon Ayuk is more important right now in trying to figure out what they're going to do with him, if they're going to be able to negotiate a deal with him, not Trent Williams. If they decide to trade Brandon Ayuk and they move on for Brandon Ayuk, maybe they give Trent Williams a little bit more money to make him happy. But if I was the 49ers GM, and that's John Lynch, and I'm sitting there today and sitting with Kyle Shanahan and say, listen, he's making enough money. We've given him enough guaranteed money. He's still a fantastic player, but he's 38 years old. Where do we go here? What kind of money do we have left? Where do we invest this money? Do we invest it in Brandon Ayuk because he could be a sensational weapon moving forward with Deebo Samuel? Because Deebo can't stay healthy. And if they lose Deebo, what are they going to do? Are they going to trust a rookie to run their offense through, or and trust that Christian McCaffrey is going to stay healthy another full season? They need Brandon Ayuk. I think they say, you know what? If he doesn't want to play, let's call his bluff. Let him sit out a couple of weeks and see if he's going to deal with not making the money. I do believe Trent Williams will show up one way or another. I think he's trying to make a statement. It's not going to work.
I think a lot of this has to do with the guaranteed money more, because we were even saying at the time when Trent Williams got the 6-year, $170 million contract 4 years ago, like the contract was good per year. And we were happy Trent Williams made the money, especially with everything that happened with Washington, that whole ugly fallout, the way that happened. But 6 years.
Big mistake, by the way.
The 6 years
they got nothing for him either.
Yeah, and we're seeing this 6 years deal was essentially the 3-year deal with most of the guarantee money coming in. And this year is, while he's still getting a lot of the money in the base salary, it's not guaranteed for maybe one major injury that could come. And Trent Williams, he's had to really elevate a lot of these other 49ers offensive linemen. Now the scheme does help too, with a lot of motion and a lot of quick passes and stuff like that as well. But the 49ers are not exactly, outside of Aaron Banks, like developing all these great offensive linemen around Trent Williams either. So Trent Williams at that age has had to elevate it even more. Now, what I would do strategically, because I mentioned if I were the 49ers, I'd try to do everything I can to at least keep Brandon Ayuk for this year, because they don't have another player like
he's
him.
under contract. He's not going to sit out the whole season. And he knows that after week 9, he's going to lose a lot of money. He's going to lose a lot of money through to week 9, but if he doesn't play to week 9, he could lose almost all his money. There's no way Trent Williams is going to sit out all season long.
No, I don't think he's going to sit out all season long.
So why bluff? Just call his bluff. Why bite on him? Why do it? You gave him a lot of money. You gave him $170 million. He's still under contract for 3 years. He still had his guaranteed money. He's a multi-millionaire because of that contract. What more does he need? Because other players, because their contracts are up, they're making more money than him, and because he's a better player, he deserves more. That doesn't matter. You're under contract. Live out your contract, especially when you have 3 years. If it was one more year left on your contract, I could see why you're arguing, but you got 3 years left on your contract, bud. Just ride it out and earn your money.
This is
earn
what
your
I would,
stripes.
Yeah, this is what I would do if I were them, because obviously what is going to happen right now with Brandon Ayuk between now and the beginning of the season is probably going to stay in-house at this point. We know which teams are interested in trading for him, whatever. Like if they are able to get Ayuk to be happy and play on whatever contract he's on, or if they try to extend him for next year, then maybe you try to restructure the remainder of the salary cap to make Trent Williams happy with the guaranteed money. Otherwise, you could do it next year too, or pay Ayuk now, or whatever you let him go with, restructure it to make sure he's happy within the second year. Because I think he still has 2 years left. We'll see on the third year with the injuries, but he's still very vital to this team, where I don't know if you could just necessarily make it work. I agree with you. I don't think he'll hold out that long. He still wants to win a Super Bowl, and he was close last year, and he's still a great player.
All a ploy.
But I think the 49ers have to be very creative the way they handle it. And I think there's a lot of approaches that they could do, especially with Ayuk.
Give him nothing. If I'm the GM and I'm John Lynch, I give him nothing. I sit there and say, okay, you don't want to play? Sit out. We'll win without you. We'll win without you. We've done it before. We'll win without you. And that's what I believe. They went to an NFC title game without him. Okay. They went to a Super Bowl. Last year, practically half the season he was out. He couldn't stay healthy. I mean, this is a guy that can't stay healthy for the last 2 years for a full season. And you're going to pay him more than $20 million a year after making a significant amount with the guarantee money that he got. I'm not biting. If anything, I'm giving Brandon Ayuk the money because he's more important than he is. Because Deebo Samuel is not going to be healthy all season long. He never is. And Deebo is, he's at the tail end. I mean, how many years did Deebo Samuel, for the amount of beating that this guy gets, he's a running back / wide receiver. He's taking a beating. How many years does Deebo Samuel have left to be an elite wide receiver? I don't know if he's elite anymore.
I don't know if he really is in terms of like a raw skill set either. And I think once those speed and the motion goes down with the injuries,
He
it's
is
gonna be hard.
He is better than Brandon Ayuk, but by how
But
much?
Brandon Ayuk, I think, is more well-rounded of a wide receiver. Like Deebo Samuel,
He's
I think,
also a lot younger.
I know. And that's why I think the 49ers have a big decision to make when it comes with Ayuk too, because Ricky Pearsall, who they drafted in the first round, is a lot like Deebo Samuel. So I think they have those traits replaced if that's the case. I don't think anyone has the precise route running and the separation ability deep like Ayuk
I
does.
would try to trade Deebo before I trade Brandon.
That's why I was thinking at the draft as well. I think one of our draft guys was mentioning it, that they think it was going to happen. They thought it was going to happen over Ayuk. And that's why I think Ricky Pearsall, like him being drafted there, makes him a little more tradable. And they should trade able to do to pay Ayuk.
You're on mute.
Fish, you're muted.
Come on, Fish.
I got a squeaky chair. It's making noise, so I mute it. But listen, I watched that receiver show you were talking about, Errol.
Love it.
And I'll tell you, Speedy, when Deebo got hurt last year, the 49ers offense completely collapsed, and they show it in that show that they couldn't do anything that they wanted to do without Deebo, that Deebo is that much of an impact on the game.
Hold on. I'm sorry to cut you off. And I'm going to tell you this. And I know you would look at the numbers and you would say that. They're building the show around Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. So, of course, that's what the way they shot. But nobody showed that Brandon Ayuk had a sensational year. He had almost 1,500 yards. It was all about Deebo Samuel. People forgot about that. If you watch the Netflix, nobody was even speaking about how great of a season Brandon Ayuk was having because it wasn't about Brandon Ayuk. It was about Deebo Samuel. So I understand what you're saying, but it's pretty funny. It really is pretty funny how they were showing those statistics, but they weren't showing what Brandon Ayuk was doing when he wasn't on the field.
And Fish, I just want to say, because I think you were trying to get at the Super Bowl mostly with the way that Deebo Samuel got hurt in the Super Bowl. And that was the better matchup play for the Super Bowl because the Chiefs, the way they love to blitz, like you need to get the yards after the catch. Brandon Ayuk had to get separation right away, which would have been hard to do. And he's also the better scheme fit for a lot of motion in that offense. I'm talking about as a raw receiver. I think Brandon Ayuk's traits are more well-rounded. Deebo Samuel, like if he loses the speed, he's not a great deep threat type thing. I think if he does get hurt, I think that could be a little hard. I think that's more what I was referring to.
I think just to wrap up this point, I think sometimes when you're coaching defense, I know just as done it in the past myself at the high school level and being part of a lot of game plans, that you got to figure out who's going to break your defensive structure and what players are going to force you to do things that you don't normally want to do. Ayuk is not a guy that's going to break your defensive structure. He's a great receiver. He runs his routes really well. He's got great ball control, great catch radius. He makes contested catches, but he's not going to do things that Deebo does that makes you have to like put a spy in, put a trap coverages in, and do all these things that you normally wouldn't do because you can't just X's and O's beat Deebo Samuel. At least for now, he's turning 29 this season. So we'll see how long that Deebo can do it. But I think the point they were trying to make in that show, and yes, again, it is biased. I agree with you. It is biased towards Kittle and Deebo, but I think that 49ers offense runs on Deebo.
The best person on that episode, and I'm going to tell you, was St. Brown. That was, to me, out of all the guys that they followed on that show, him and George Kittle. I think both. George, you get to know about how much of a family man he is, how much of a dog dad he is. You realize that he doesn't have any kids. And there's a reason why he doesn't have any kids, because he believes it just like Derek Jeter. While you're in the middle of your career, you want to concentrate on the game, not concentrate on family and stuff like that. That's why his wife can't follow him. His wife is his biggest support. His wife goes to every one of his games. She travels to every one of his games. So if they have a kid, they can't do that. And George loves when his wife is with him. So I think that's why George Kittle doesn't have any kids yet and he just turned 30. I think he will when he's ready to retire. And St. Brown, I love everything about him. He knows German. You got to know about his family, his brother playing for Chicago, his other brother. I mean, all the background of his family, that his family is more of the Detroit Lion fan than they are Chicago Bear fans, and they were rooting for the Lions when they played Chicago. It's really cool to get to know who St. Brown is because it makes you like him even more on the type of player that he is.
His father is 3-time Mr. Universe.
Yes.
I mean, St. Brown's father is Mr. Universe. That's what we're dealing with here. This guy is hardcore. It is awesome to watch him. He's a young receiver. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it soon in a couple of weeks or some, but Lions have got to be a lot of people's favorites for the Super Bowl this year.
I think he was robbed. I think St. Brown was robbed not being in the Pro Bowl. He was all first team, all NFL player, but that's more important than being in the Pro Bowl. But that's why we got his money. But I think that, when you see the type of player that he was last year, the fans should have saw that. I mean, how many wide receivers were better than he was last year? Maybe 3. I mean, and the other 3 players in front of him made it to the Pro Bowl, and he was an all-pro player, and 2 of those guys weren't even all-pro players. So it didn't make any sense, and that's what I don't understand about pro. If you're an all-pro player, you automatically should be a Pro Bowl player. That to me should be the way it goes, but nobody cares. No, it's a 2-hand touch. It's flag football. Nobody cares about that. Anyways, I know Scoops has his thoughts to this.
Yeah, going back to the Trent Williams situation, all I'm gonna say is I agree with you guys like pretty heavily. I think you guys touched on everything really like right on the head. Because I love Trent Williams. I think that he was just very elite over there in Washington. Was one of the like only consistent linemen. He's been very fine over in San Francisco. Like you said, he was an all-pro every year except 1 year, I believe. And you can't ignore that talent, of course, but he is 36 years old. He does have a history of ankle injuries. You're not going to get your money, my man. Like, my thing is that I would try for your Super Bowl ring, try to get your Super Bowl bonus, and call it a career after that, because there's no way the money that would be going to him would be more useful than someone like Brandon Ayuk. Like, Ayuk was a key player to that Super Bowl run, and could be a key player to their receiver core for years to come. If I'm Brandon Ayuk and I see Trent Williams get that money, then personally, I would be pissed.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I'm looking elsewhere and trying to get the most money I possibly can. And I think the Commanders make a lot of sense, and that's where I would want to go. Jaden Daniels and him are very close. It makes a lot of sense. But final story, and then we're going to sing happy birthday. No Speedy After Dark tonight, but we're all going to sing happy birthday to Speedy, okay? Because it is your birthday. You're 29 years old. Should we smack you in the ass? I mean,
no,
you don't want to be smacked.
Spanking.
I mean, we could do that.
No,
you get
Slap
29
that
punches or 29 slaps in the ass. What do you think?
Painful.
That would be cool,
No
right?
thanks.
I mean, Kirby Smart said at SEC Media Day that Dan Lanning and Oregon are getting NIL benefits because Nike is boosting them. Nike co-founder Phil Knight is an Oregon alumni and has been a booster for Oregon for over 20 years. On the Pat McAfee show, Lanning was joking about Kirby Smart, saying it's impressive he signed the #1 recruiting class without any NIL money. He also added that Oregon would never lose if they were to get unlimited money. Georgia was 5th in the NIL money used on recruiting last season, while Oregon was 10th. First of all, I like this guy, Dan Lanning. Okay. First of all, I would love to see Oregon versus Kirby Smart in the national championship, because these two guys absolutely hate each other. And guess what? They come from the same coach. They come from Nick Saban. So I don't know how these guys are, how these guys were in the locker room when they were both working for Alabama, but you could tell these guys don't like each other. And Kirby Smart, he has his own thoughts about the SEC, deals and the NIL deals and the money that's going to some of these players. He doesn't like it. And a lot of these superstar coaches like Nick Saban, we heard Dabo Sweeney, and now you're hearing Kirby Smart not like the NIL deals and the portals. They don't like it, but Lanning loves it. Why does he like it? Because he knows, and everybody's right about this, the Nike co-founder, Phil Knight, who's a multi-billionaire, is an alumni over there, and he's a booster. So knowing that kind of money is there to be used, Oregon is using that to their advantage, as well as they should. Alabama doesn't use their name, their school, because of all the success that they've had over the last couple of years winning national championships, and Nick Saban on drawing players to come and play for them? Of course they are. How about Jim Harbaugh? You don't think because of who he wasn't drawing players to come and play for him? Money talks, baby. And look at Jim Harbaugh. He decided to flee. He wanted to leave Michigan. Why? Because of all the stuff and all the suspensions they're going to be handed down on them because of everything that's happened in the past. And it's all going to come out, trust me, just like it all came out in USC. So I do believe that Dan Lanning could say what he wants, just like all these other coaches could say what they want. And if they don't like it, then don't listen, because he's right. If there's money to be had and these players should be making it, then they should be getting it. And if they're paying them under the table, everybody does it. It's not like it's new. It's been going on forever. Ask half these guys that are in the NFL. You think that they just decided, hey, I want to go here and I want to go there, when they more than likely should have gone to Alabama or Georgia or the high-profile schools? No, but they decided to go to North Dakota, or they decided to go here. Why? Why do you think they decided to go to North Dakota? Because somebody's paying them under the table. So if somebody's got money and somebody wants to be a booster and somebody wants to pay under the table, so by all means, let them pay them, because these players have been screwed every single time. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Johnny Manziel, anybody wants to take shots at Money Manziel or whatever, Johnny Manziel, I have a lot of respect for Johnny Manziel, because even though he was a drug addict, even though that he had his own thoughts to the way the game should be and the way it should be played, and not show up to practices and take whatever money they possibly can, whatever money he can make off his name, he was right. Every single player should be making money off their own name. And it should have been going on for 20, 30, 40 years. These guys, these schools are making millions and millions of dollars off the ball games that they're playing in, off the TV deals that they're getting. The SEC, the Pac-12, or the Big Ten, or whatever.
Formerly the Pac-12, now everything else.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? All these organizations, all these conferences, they were making all this money because of the bowl games that they're playing. And these coaches are making ridiculous amount of money, while these players are making nothing. That they're practically living off of whatever pennies their parents are giving them to live off, because their
development.
No, their deal. Their
NIL deals.
No, not their NIL deals. Their college scholarships. I'm sorry. I'm a little broken here today. Their scholarships are pretty much guaranteed for their college education. But guess what? In 3 years, when they decide to leave and they don't finish the college education, I don't know if anybody knows this, they do not get to finish their college education with that deal.
Right.
Their scholarship is null and void after they leave. If they decide to go to the NFL before their scholarship is used up in 4 years and they don't finish their scholarship, most of these guys, unless the school decides to live through it, and like Sauce Gardner, he got his scholarship. He graduated from Cincinnati. He still, even though he became an NFL player before he graduated, he still got a chance to graduate. There are schools that obey and follow through with it because of the superstar. Right. But a lot of these guys, they're trying to make money for their families and do things for their families. And because they're from very poor families, if they decide to walk away from their scholarship, they cannot finish under that same scholarship. So to me, if you're sitting here and you're one of these players, I'm going to the NFL. If I'm going to make my family rich and I'm going to set my family up very, very well, when they are very, obviously poor for generation after generation, and some of these kids come from really, really, really bad places, they're going to do what they have to do. So I absolutely agree with Dan Lanning. I like Dan Lanning, and we speak to a lot of Oregon guys. We know a little bit about Dan Lanning. I would love to interview Dan Lanning, because he stands for something, and I think he's going to be an NFL coach. I'm very surprised that he didn't get that Alabama job, because I don't think he wanted to leave Oregon. Nope. If he was willing to leave Oregon, I think he gets that Alabama job. I think Kirby Smart's just jealous of the success that Dan Lanning has had, and he has his own thoughts. He's for the players. Kirby Smart is for the coaches and for himself and for what the SEC is bringing in from when it comes to recruits. And Dan Lanning is about the players, about what they're going to get and how they're going to get it. I respect Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a progressive movement as well. You're going to see a lot of these younger coaches. I don't think Kirby Smart has necessarily been as outspoken as Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin or Dabo Sweeney or any guys like that, but he definitely still has had that ego because he won the 2 championships. Now, I think before he won the championships, he was a lot like Dan Lanning, a player's
coach. Do you
coach.
think Dan Lanning, if he won those 2 championships, he's like Kirby Smart? I don't think he is. I think different personality.
Yeah, not necessarily. I'm not going to say he is definitively either, because Kirby Smart has his own ego. They obviously
don't like each other too.
Which is interesting because he was on the same coaching staff for a while as well. And it's interesting that dichotomy would have changed right away. They did the home and home the first 2 years when Lanning went to Oregon, and Georgia blew him out the first time, and now they play again this year. But like, it's one of those things that you have to evolve to the modern game of college football. You're going to need that kind of thing anyway. But I think Dan Lanning also knows that, all right, these teams, even before this new deal got passed, where now Power 5 conferences get a certain amount of money to pay athletes, that these teams are still winning it based on that anyway. Now, maybe it wasn't the same case maybe 15 years ago, but even there's going to be a lot of cases, like you're saying, USC with Pete Carroll and a bunch of others.
Every school has boosters. You think Alabama doesn't have boosters? You don't think Georgia has billionaire boosters? They do. Why is he not complaining? Because he knows, because he's in the SEC and he's in a power conference with Alabama, and everybody wants to go to Georgia or Alabama. He knows he's going to draw those players no matter what. He knows that Dan Lanning is going to have to work harder to bring them to Oregon, and he's complaining about that. Get off it. Kirby, you're such a bitch, okay? That's what you are. And that's what I'm going to say about a lot of these coaches. Nick Saban, the reason why he retired, because he knew that he wasn't going to get the best recruits anymore. They were going to go look elsewhere. They're going to look in the portal. They're going to want to go in. They're going to want to go and play for Deion Sanders. They're going to want to go and play for this guy. They want to play for that.
A lot.
Yeah, because of the money, and as well as they should. Am I wrong? Are you willing to lie to yourselves, or anybody's out there, they're going to lie to yourself? Oh, I want to go play for Kirby Smart. I'd rather just play for Kirby Smart instead of making, I don't know, an extra $1 million. I'd be a millionaire before I could step on an NFL field. I'm doing that, baby. Especially when I come from a family that has nothing.
And over the years, like I've bashed Nike and I've bashed Phil Knight as well for a lot of the stuff that they've been involved in, the scandals and all that. But I don't think there's anything necessarily to try to elevate it. It's not like
crying.
It's not like Oregon. I mean, I couldn't find the exact numbers this year for the 2024 recruiting class, if Oregon was that much elevated over that. The only thing I saw recently was Ohio State, oddly enough, was involved in a lawsuit. But I don't think there's necessarily going to be an elevation that Phil Knight is necessarily going to bring more to it just because he's there. I'm sure there's other employees with Nike that could elevate SEC schools the same way as well. There's going to be distribution both ways.
It's all about money, baby.
So unless there's a drastic thing where Oregon is NIL recruiting, or not even NIL recruiting now because they could pay him, but the NIL difference is $15 million more than the next team. I can't see that kind of thing being a good case for what Kirby Smart's trying to petition for, even with the shadiness of Phil Knight.
It's all about crying. What are your thoughts, Fish?
So I'm looking at 24/7 Sports. It has for the 2024 football class, Georgia the top ranked one, Alabama second, and then Oregon third. But Oregon has no 5-star athletes, just a ton of 4-star athletes. I mean, look, you got to give credit to the structure that was built originally by Chip Kelly over there. That they've kept going for a long time, when they really weren't a powerhouse before that. You get a guy like Dan Lanning wanting to stay because of all the money they spent on building up the program, building up all the buildings, the facilities. Everyone knows Oregon has the best jerseys every year. There's a lot that goes into wanting to creating a destination out of basically nowhere. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Oregon University for doing that, not being in the SEC, being in the Mickey Mouse West Coast leagues that have basically been neutered in the last decade or so. And they're still competing. I like that one.
Spaeder, are you neutered?
But there's 2 teams left in the Pac-12. That's what Fish is referring to.
But are you neutered?
I'm not neutered.
You sure?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I thought you were.
No, just the rest of the Pac-12 has, outside of Arizona and Washington State. Or
you
Arizona
think
State,
Lanning's
Washington
neutered?
State.
You think?
I don't know.
Would you ask?
I don't
If
know.
we
You
had him on
can
the show-
ask him if you get to interview him, which it seems like you want to. So you can ask him that.
Would you hang out with him and eat a steak with him?
Yes, but that has nothing to do with being neutered.
Well, maybe it does.
No, it doesn't. You can eat a steak without being neutered.
Well, you could ask him if neutered.
You can ask him if you care so much.
I do. I want to ask him.
All right, go ask him.
But I want you to ask him.
Not
too.
happening.
What would you ask him?
I'm not asking him about being neutered.
That would be good. Hey, Danny, I just have a question for you. My name is Speedy. It's nice to meet you, Speedy. Are you neutered?
I'm not going to weird out Dan Lanning by asking him that question.
Well, what would you ask him? What crazy question would you ask him?
I don't know.
Do you wear condoms?
Oh, my God.
Would you ask him that?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not a creep.
What? How does that make you a creep if he wears condoms?
I don't need to know about his sex life.
Well, Maybe his fans want to know what he does, behind closed doors.
And I hope all those fans get a restraining order.
Different kind of recruiting.
Well,
yeah, don't go. What Rick Pitino did.
Why would you not help out with Rick Pitino if you had you were part of his coaching staff?
Not like that.
Why? What would be wrong with that?
I'm not recruiting escorts to get recruits.
Why not?
Because it's disturbing.
But it still draws women, right?
Yes, but that doesn't matter.
So you're telling
you're a college basketball player. You can get women yourself.
Hold on one second.
You don't need escorts.
So you're telling me right now. If you walked into one of these kids' houses and you say, "Listen, you can get whatever you want," and you show pictures to any one of these guys on escorts and what they look like, and they're bouncing their asses right in front of your faces, you wouldn't jump on that?
I don't know, but that's not the point.
Yeah, you would. If you're,
I don't know that. I'm not advocating.
If a girl was shaking her ass in front of your face and saying, "Come to Oregon," you wouldn't take it.
I don't know, but that still shouldn't advocate for that kind of behavior. If you need to stoop so low to do that to recruit players, then you have your own problem.
Why is that stooping so low?
It's desperation.
It's not desperation. It's showing them that you know what you're working with.
Yeah, exactly.
But what are you working with?
It doesn't matter.
What happens if
it means nothing?
If Dan Lanning asked you to come in, maybe there's a bunch of guys that are looking for guys to shake their asses.
I'm not going to be that pawn.
Why not?
I'm not interested in shaking my ass in front of a bunch of 18-year-olds.
Why not? Maybe their mom will like you.
I don't care. I'm not Zach Wilson.
I mean, that would be fun.
All right, go recruit Zach Wilson to do it once he's cut from the Broncos.
Would you flip burgers with Zach Wilson?
No.
Why?
I don't know because Zach Wilson, if you do the barbecue, try to flip the burgers, you might sail it and hit something.
What, you don't like his beef?
To do with that. It has everything to do with his accuracy.
I mean, you should. Well, that's true. But would you help flip his beef?
I don't want to.
Why not?
I have zero interest in barbecuing with Zach Wilson.
Well, you just said that you don't want to be like Zach Wilson.
Correct.
But you can eat like Zach, right?
All right. I can also do it without me having to be the one flipping it.
Well, I think you need to flip.
I don't think I do.
So you don't want to flip anything? You don't want to flip a coin,
I can flip a coin without getting Zach Wilson involved.
Well, who do you want to get involved with?
It doesn't matter. I can flip a coin.
Would you flip anything?
Maybe, but that has nothing to do with anyone else.
How about a tuna fish sandwich? Would you flip that?
Why would I flip a tuna fish sandwich? Because what is possibly the benefit of flipping a tuna fish sandwich?
I don't know. It's fish and it's good.
So why would I flip it?
I don't know. Maybe it'll land on its, it lands differently on the table.
Yeah, it would. And it's going to spin.
Do you think that if you flipped a tuna fish sandwich in the air and you caught it, could you catch it in your mouth?
No.
Why not?
It's too big.
Well, too big as in how?
Size.
Well, how big?
How big is the average sandwich? It's bigger than a human mouth. Unless you're a sumo wrestler or Sean Smith, maybe.
Taking shots at Sean. I love it. That's the best. That was the best line, man. We got to cut that out and send that to Sean. That is perfect. Screw you, Sean.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Why? You think Sean could do that?
I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know. Again, it involves a certain level of coordination that he might have when it comes to football. I don't know if he has throwing things in the air. Oh, nice. You still got the Sean graphics. I like it.
Look at Sean. He's smoking. You think you could smoke faster than he can?
Oh, God, no.
Why not?
I'll let Kenny compete with him on that.
But why can't you smoke?
I'm not. No. Kenny is the expert on that.
What do you think you could do more better than Sean Smith?
What could I do better than
Sean Smith? Let's hear it.
What could I do better than Sean Smith?
Mm-hmm. No, well, let's stay away from the radio because we don't want him to have a panic attack and call the show. We don't want that. Mm-hmm. What do you think you could do better?
Probably something. Not a stamina sport. Maybe like a short-term stamina sport. Maybe like we were talking about.
How about doing something sexually? Do you think?
No, not that.
No,
nothing. Like the things we were mentioning on Tuesday. I think of
ride a bike. You think you could ride a bike better than him?
Maybe, but I'm kind of rusty riding a bike too. I haven't done that in a while.
Rusty.
I mean, I say anything like the climbing stuff we were talking about on Tuesday. Okay, I'll let you in. Hold on.
What about swimming? Like, if you're like,
Yeah, maybe I could say that. I would say I'm a pretty good swimmer.
Are you a good swimmer? So you think you could?
so
be
you would be
Sean
wearing
Smith?
the Speedo, like the Speedy Speedo? Oh,
I would not.
Speedy.
I would love to see
Oh my
Speedy in a
God.
Speedo. That would be funny.
Scoops, you had to bring him an idea.
I mean, could you imagine him wearing a Speedo?
Oh God!
You know the bush in the front of it. You'd be like, what the hell is that?
Damn it, Scoops! You had to do that. It's witty. I will give that to you, but he's gonna push it to another level.
Oh, it's a forest fire. Oh, Speedy, we love you. You're great.
Swimming or any climbing bits. That's what I'll take over Sean Smith.
All right, Speedy, we're gonna sing happy birthday to you because it is your birthday. You're 29 years old.
Please start singing before I have to hear any more of anything of
The
this.
last year of your 20s, man.
Last year,
I get to hear Scoops and Fish sing for the first time.
I got to take you. I got to say, one of these days, I got to take you to a strip bar because you need to get some asses popping in your face.
No, I don't.
It needs to happen.
No, it doesn't.
It needs to happen.
You and B.
I need to see that.
No, you don't.
At least once in my life, watching Speedy sit there.
No, it is
get a lap
B
dance.
pipe.
Here's the deal. It's a
I
want to be in that room to watch him get his first lap dance. I have to be in that room. I have to be in that room. I will pay extra just to sit there and watch this kid get his first lap dance. It would be worth any. I pay $1,000.
Fish, please start singing for these two. Would stop
$1,000
distracting it with.
Could you imagine
strip bar nonsense?
Could you imagine? Look at. Oh man, that's a perfect picture of me grabbing my breast. By the way, it really is.
Jeff, whatever that is.
It is the perfect picture.
Some 50s singer. All right, start singing,
All right,
please.
give me some tunes in the background. I mean, happy birthday tunes, man. Come on, what's wrong
Wait,
with you?
Speedy, that's a famous moment in American history. That's when Marilyn Monroe sang happy birthday to JFK in front of his wife, in front of a huge audience.
Happy birthday to you. Not ready? Come on, get me the music here. I gotta. You guys got to help here. All right, you guys got to help. I mean, I got to hear you guys. This is for him, man. This is all for him. All right.
I'm literally guessing. I don't
hold
know
on.
how good this
Hold on.
instrumental is going to be,
All
but
right, here we go.
you guys singing more is going to.
All right, I'm gonna grab the mic and I'm gonna sing into it. Speedy, I'm gonna like eat it like I'm sucking at something. Okay? All right, rewind this. I gotta. We gotta fall into it. Give me another one. Give me another.
I'm guessing. I have no idea what
Give
these
me another
instrumentals
one.
are.
All right.
1 hour. Oh no, 1 hour.
Hey, 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour of singing this to Speedy.
All right.
What are you trying to give me a heart attack?
By the time we finish singing that, it'll literally be Speedy's birthday.
Right, let's try this one.
Play Power Hour until it is your birthday.
I know I have an ad. Nice going. Stupid YouTube.
Don't worry, Speedy. But before we sing happy birthday, I just want to let everybody know Speedy has been with me. Not with me, but you know what I mean. With the network. That would be weird. Anyway,
let's hope this one's better.
Happy birthday to you. Come on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Speedy. Happy birthday to you. Come on, Speedy. Go.
James Greenbush.
To you.
Birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Dear Speedy.
Happy birthday to you.
All right, Speedy Peter.
All right, thank you guys, and also thank you to Keith as well, who commented happy birthday as well in the comment section.
Happy birthday, Speedy.
Thank you very much. And yes, thank you everyone in the comments section.
Happy birthday, Speedy.
My parents wishing you a happy
yes,
birthday.
thank you, Scoops' parents.
Speedy, it's good, man. You got a lot of, hopefully we get a couple women to say happy birthday to you. We need that. I mean, look, there has to be women out there that's willing to shake their booties in front of you.
Yeah, there are. That doesn't mean I'm going to encourage it.
I'm going to encourage it.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
I am going to
You and the
encourage it.
Beeve have this pipe dream.
It's not a pipe dream. It's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Doris Day. Oh, who's this guy, Mike Doris Day? Who is that?
I don't know.
Doesn't look like
Somebody that's going to last in Ryan Spaeder's nightmares, apparently.
I was so confused too.
He was
for like 10 whole minutes. He was so confused. I didn't really want to go too in depth with that.
He was like, "Wait a second, you have the most distinct voice I've ever heard in sports."
Can you blame him for thinking that?
And he's like, I had no idea where you were going with that, but
You probably had him thinking that you've never been on the show before. I was like, wait, have I been on this show?
Yeah, he knows he's been on the show. He loves coming on the show. He loves coming on the show. Dude, he's on MLB Network. He's on ESPN. He comes on this show. He has a good time, and he knows that we kind of follow through with everything that he says, and I agree with everything that he says about, except the juice balls with Aaron Judge. That's a ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I disagree with him on that one. Oh, just Aaron Judge. How about Bryce Harper? You're a Philadelphia Phillies fan. You don't think he is juice balls? Well, maybe he likes to juice the balls, right, Speedy? Do you juice your balls?
No.
What? You don't juice your balls?
No.
You sure about that?
I am sure about that.
I mean, well, Aaron Judge juices his balls.
Okay, good for Aaron Judge.
Would you hang out with Aaron Judge and hang out with him and watch him juice his balls?
No.
Why not?
I don't want to watch anyone juice their balls.
Oh, well.
I mean, it's something I want to see.
I mean, hey, listen.
I don't care if it's Aaron Judge.
Why? They're pretty big balls.
Okay, first of all, as I mentioned many times, and Scoop, you reiterate all this all the time, size doesn't matter. Second of all, I'm not watching anybody do that.
Well, you can play with them.
I don't want to play.
It's Aaron Judge's balls.
I don't care. There's enough creepy Yankee fans. I don't want that.
Well, that's true. You're absolutely
Mine
right.
one of them.
Well, okay, Polar Bear. Would you do that with him?
I told you I'm not doing any of that nonsense with any players on my own teams.
I give you.
I don't need the Mets had enough issues with that.
Is there a player that you're infatuated with?
I don't need any distraction.
Not
like that.
Is there a player?
Not like that.
Well, is there a
not
player?
like that?
Well, who's the most attractive guy right now in Major League? Quick, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Give me one. First one that pops into your head. Pop in your head.
I don't think of this.
Think of this. Pop it.
I'm not
Pop
like
it. Pop it.
I don't have an answer because I don't have a thing.
Oh, there it is. You're roosting over there. Come on, give it to us. Give it to us. Come on.
All right, I'll just say because Ryan Spader's hair, I'll say Gunnar Henderson.
Okay, Gunnar Henderson. So, ladies and gentlemen,
thank you, Ryan Spader, for having the ideas with the Orioles. Whatever he said, the Orioles flow or whatever he had with all their hair.
Would you drop an egg?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not about juvenile pranks.
Look, you're dropping an egg in it.
Yeah, that's a problem.
What do you mean it's a problem?
One, you would probably choke if you had to swallow an egg whole. Two, it's a yolk. And three, some high school dare. Oh, let's throw an egg at somebody's car.
I love you. Happy 29th, man. We really do love you. I do love you, man. I really do. Sincerely. I do love you. You're a funny guy, and this show wouldn't be what it is without you. I'll say that. You're one of the masterminds of what this show is and what this show has been over the years. So I really appreciate everything and all the hard work you put into this. And I'm going to celebrate your birthday like I do with Eric. We're going to figure out something in the next couple of weeks. We're going to take you out. We're going to have a lot of fun with you. And August 10th, I'm going to be DJing again out here, the promoter and everything like that. So, Speedy, you're gonna come. We're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of people there. So we're going to have some fun. All right. Just no getting drunk, okay?
Hey, if it's at night, I am.
Okay, so it is at night.
There you go.
The sun sets.
The sun sets and the ball sack comes out.
No, it does not. I'm not going that. I am definitely not going that far.
Maybe Aaron Judge's balls will be there waiting for you.
Maybe they will. Doris Day lives in Ryan Spader.
Would you ever chug the keg of beer up your ass? No, you wouldn't try that.
That's a good idea.
That would
John Cena did that.
That would
in a
sound
movie.
painful. Okay, first of all, John Cena's ass is probably 10 times bigger than mine. Second of all, it's probably much more encouraged in that kind of thing as a wrestling act. And third, it would be very difficult to do that kind of thing anyway because the keg would have to go up, and then if it were coming down on me, it'd probably crush me anyway.
You know what's so funny about him? He's got an analysis for everything. It's
You're describing a scenario that doesn't make physical sense.
What, were you thinking about that scenario?
No, I wasn't.
So why? How does it pop in your head?
It popped in his head because
does anything pop into your head?
Yes, but I don't need to spew it out all the time.
Yes, I don't want to spew it out. Get it? Head, spewing.
Yes,
Anyways,
I get it.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Wish Speedy a happy birthday. He is fantastic. Thank you to all the fans out there that tune into us every single week. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you to Ryan Spaeder. Go check him out, the Ace of Spaeders, Spaeder.com. The Ace of SPAEDER. He's fantastic. His statistics are the best in the business. Thank you to you, Fish, for always doing all the work that you do, executive producing and adding your thoughts to all the different subjects that we get into. Thank you, Scoops, for being who you are and giving Speedy a nice ball sack. Thank you to you, Speedy, because without you, I wouldn't be me. And you make me whole as a radio show host. And I want you to know that I appreciate everything that you do, all the work, everything that you give to this show. It makes me feel so good. No, I'm just kidding. We love you. And happy birthday. I'm looking forward to the next 5-6 years and your success. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you again to all the fans. Thank you for Jeff for calling and not being an ass. Speedy, do you want to do the dance? Do you want to do the Willy Whopper dance?
No, that you could ask Mike Dorsday about that.
Do you want to do the Willy Whopper?
No.
dance?
Ask Mike Dorsday.
Well,
that's
you
his
sure?
specialty.
We might have to do that on one of the shows. Willy Whopper dance.
No, that's Mike Dorsday's specialty.
Okay, I'm just saying. Anyways, again, thank you. We'll be back on Tuesday next week. Any guests yet?
Oh yeah, returning to the show, one of our favorites, one of the funnier guys. He has a pretty famous brother as well. That is Chris Gronkowski.
Oh, he's coming on.
He's coming on Tuesday, 7:30.
Chris is going to join us again.
Yes,
like
one
that.
of the funniest guests we've ever had on.
Yes, he loves us too. That's why he wants to come on. Maybe one of these days he's got to sneak a little Gronk on it.
Oh yeah, I believe me. The last year or so, we were trying to get all the 5 brothers on together. I did try to make it happen.
What do you think his balls look like?
I don't know, and I don't care.
I mean, he'd probably show you too, by the way.
Okay, but that doesn't mean I'm going to encourage it.
Anyways, thank you to the fans. We will be back next week, as always. Check out the Weekend Crunch on 103.9 FM at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. It's going to be a great one, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you. And listen, guys, if you don't live out here, go to 103.9 FM on iHeartRadio. You can hear it live and in color at 7 p.m. But that's it. Speedy, thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We're going to celebrate it in the very near future. And good night.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.